And welcome to Lowell Park here on a weekday afternoon. I'm Tyler Henry, joined here by Colin Casey as we get set for baseball action. And Colin, one of the rarest things on planet Earth, a nice day for baseball here at Katuitt Park. It's been a very strange situation. We've tried to come here 4 different times to play 2 games, but it looks like finally we will be able to get a game of baseball in today.
Yeah, it's definitely good to see the Mariners back out and playing some baseball games after that long layoff. We have, of course, seen the Mariners kind of get it going offensively, but this long layoff kind of wondered if they were going to be able to sustain it after that long break. And, yesterday they didn't have a ton going at the plate with 5 runs scored in 2 games, but, it was good enough for a split against Orleans, a much-needed split against the Firebirds. They want to run them down for that 3rd spot and also at the same time stay ahead of Brewster. So they get another opportunity against Katuitt. We know last time they tried completing this game, Mariners got off to a 12-0 lead before the game was discontinued in the 4th inning. Let's see if they can have that kind of offensive outburst once again as the Katuitt Cavaliers go on and take the field.
And they're going to need it as this is a Katuitt squad coming in here. They've already clinched a playoff spot. They were the first team in the league to do so, and they come in today with a 17-15-4 record, but they've been on a little bit of a skid recently. They haven't looked quite as sharp over the course of their last 5 games. So a Katuitt team looking to get back on the right track, a Harwich team looking to do what they've struggled to do over the last week, and that's put some distance between themselves and the Brewster Whitecaps, a team that currently sits in the standings just 3 points behind the Harwich Mariners. But Brewster does have an extra game, and they are not in action today. So following today's game, Brewster will have 2 more games than Harwich for the rest of their season, and that could turn into a risky proposition, Colin, as we've just got a week left in the year.
Yeah, time's really running out for some of these teams at the bottom. Hyannis is pretty much fading completely out of the playoff picture with the tough season they've had in the West, but in the East it's a little bit different. Brewster just a game and a half back, but it seems like they've been a game and a half back the Mariners for what's seemed like almost a week and a half now. They can't really they've been doing enough to keep pace with them. They haven't been able to kind of overtake them for that last playoff spot. So for Harwich, as long as they keep winning games, they're going to find themselves in the playoffs. But they got a bit of a tough test against a Katuitt team with a really high-powered offense and an arm on the mound that has had some success against Harwich earlier in the season in Kyle Nicholas.
Had some success against Harwich, seems to have had success against everybody, and that was actually the only, well, come to think of it, that was the only game that he actually played in for Kyle Nicholas played in just 1 game as a batter this year, but Kyle Nicholas, the pitcher, has looked very good this season out of the University of Ball State, a 5.23 ERA, and Colin, he hasn't gone too deep into many games. It looks like they may be using him as an opener today.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the strategy is out of Coach Roberts in the Katuitt dugout, if they're going to have him just go maybe an inning or 2 or perhaps 3. 3's the most he's gone all season long. He's done it twice, so maybe it's just kind of going to be a bullpen kind of game with Katuitt. Their schedule's been kind of wacky like Harwich's, but at least they've been able to play a couple more games here and there. But it's going to be a tough test for Nicholas as this Mariners lineup, especially the top 6, have started to really perform well over the last couple of days.
So let's take you through that Harwich lineup. Standing in right now is Daniel Cabrera. He will start from the right side, and he plays in right field today. Chris Galland will be his mate out in left field hitting second. Nico Cavada sits third and plays third base as well. Joey Weimer, your cleanup hitter, is the center fielder. Mike Ludwig, the DH. Dylan Noisy, the shortstop. Lanzilli over there at first, as the first pitch is a fastball that will miss high and away. Pat Winkle, the catcher, and Corey Acton hitting ninth and playing second. So Daniel Cabrera with a 1-0 count stands in to face off here against Kyle Nicholas, who from the windup, the righty kicks and fires, and this one will miss low and inside. Another fastball. Let's set the defense for you for the Cavaliers. Cody Pasek gets the start behind home plate. Matt Mervis at first. Gonzalez at second. Oviedo at short. Casey Schmidt over there at third. Parker Chavers in left. Robinson in center. And Joey Loperfido in right. As a third consecutive fastball will miss, this time low and inside. And the count is 3-0 here to Daniel Cabrera.
I know it's only one batter, but similar start to what we saw last time the Mariners met Katuitt at Lowell Park, which was that 12-0 game that was discontinued. A lot of trouble finding the strike zone early for Jackson Wolf. Let's see if Nicholas will have the same fate here this afternoon.
The 3-0-2 Cabrera. That'll be right down the pipe. A fastball that catches every bit of the zone, but the take sign was on for Daniel, so Cabrera will stand back in here with a 3-1 count. Kyle Nicholas looking to start things off on the right foot. Here comes the 3-1 pitch, and that one's going to be chopped to the right side. Coming over is the second baseman, who will pick it up and throw on to first. It's Gonzalez, and the throw is going to be there in time. It was a pretty good play by Gonzalez, who had to range all the way to his right, but was able to make the grab for the first out of the inning.
Yeah, Nick Gonzalez back in the lineup for Katuitt. We haven't seen him since the first game between these two teams this season. I think he'd been battling an injury earlier in the year, but he's a big bat that they got back in the lineup for Katuitt, and he can also get it done in the field as he did there, ranging all the way to his left to make that play on the shallow right field shallow right field grass.
So that'll bring up Chris Gallen. The first pitch he sees will miss low and away, and Gallen just continuing to swing a good bat at this point. This is about what we'll expect for him out of the rest of the year, and he did go 1 for 4 yesterday with 3 strikeouts, but that one hit was a solo blast. His second home run as the Mariner and the first this year. The 1-0 pitch. That misses in the dirt for ball 2, and again, falling behind a hitter here is Kyle Nicholas. Nicholas from the windup. Nobody on. Harwich here in the first inning. The pitch to Gallen. And that will also miss, so back-to-back hitters here. He's fallen behind 3-0. And Colin, you wonder whether or not Gallen's got the green light here, as hot as he's hitting with a 3-0 count.
Yeah, had his first home run yesterday, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's allowed to swing the bat.
Gallen digs in. He was hitting in the 8 hole the last time these two teams met here in a game that did not count, the 3-0 pitch. And that's going to be just in there across the letters for strike 1. Gallen taking all away. So the light turns on here with a 3-1 count. In that game that was discontinued, Chris Gallen went 2 for 3 with a single, well, actually a pair of singles and a strikeout. The 3-1. And that'll miss, so it's a 5-pitch walk here to Chris Gallen. And the Harwich stolen base leader is on here with 1 away.
Well, this is kind of the risk you take by starting a reliever in this situation. Kyle Nicholas got a very hard fastball. It's been clocked in the mid-90s early in this game, but you sacrifice some control that you have with some of these starters, so Nicholas struggling to find the zone here, and it's going to need a double play ball here, which is easier said than done against Nico Cavadas.
Cavadas stands in from the right side. A quick pickoff move over at Gallen, and that's not nearly in time as Gallen dives in safely. So it's been an interesting year for the Katuitt squad. That they are 2-1 against Harwich this year. Finally here playing the season series cap, but they've struggled against the Mariners, especially offensively. It's the 0-1 pitch. Actually, the first pitch is going to be in there for a strike. That one a breaking ball. So the count goes 1-1 here on Nico Cavadas.
12 steals on the season for Chris Gallen over at first base. Wouldn't be too surprised if he ends up taking off and testing Cody Pasic's arm early.
Wouldn't be surprised one bit. Gallen will be thrown over on again. Once again, not in time. And it was a good day for Cavadas at the plate during that discontinued game as well, as he had a single and a double, a walk, a run scored, and 3 RBIs. But again, all of those numbers washed out. So Cavadas stands in here, his first at bat of the day. Runner on first, 1 away here in the first, and another pickoff move as, boy, Kyle Nicholas is awfully concerned about the speed of Chris Gallen over there at first base, and with good reason. Gallen still leads the Harwich Mariners in stolen bases with a crazy 12 this year. Gallen with the same lead, pretty standard off first, and he will hold as Cavadas fouls this one away to fall behind 0-2. There are guys on the team, Colin, that are faster than Chris Gallen, but not a lot of guys that have found their way on base a lot this year.
Right, and I think also Gallen, there's a difference between speed and being able to steal bases, because a big part of that stolen base is secondary leads, and I don't know if there's anyone out there on this team with a better secondary than Chris Gallen.
Gallen right now in his primary lead. Once again, a throw over to first. Once again, not in time, and well, no stalling tactics this time, as it's 79 degrees and sunny here at Lowell Park. Perfect conditions for baseball. Fortunately, we're right here in the shade. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. That one will miss a mile upstairs. It's picked up by Cody Pasic, and the count goes 1-2 here on Cavadas.
Quietly, it's been a bit of a slow last 7 games for Nico Cavadas, as he's just 3 for his last 17.
Cavadas looking to pick it up a little bit here, although he has hit in a couple of really crucial situations. Here he will take one out to left, chasing it all the way to the line, and it's going to drop fair. Gallen comes around. He'll hold up at third. Cavadas will take second, and it's going to be a double for Nico Cavadas as Parker Chavers had to chase that one all the way over to down the left field line. It drops just inside, and Harwich is cooking here. 2 runners in scoring position with 1 out.
And that swing right there is a good sign in terms of Cavadas kind of getting back to the player we saw a couple of weeks ago, and that is being able to take the ball the other way. Great power down the left field line from Cavadas as he drops it in the left field corner. Chavers had no chance at getting to that ball, and with Gallen's speed, he makes it up to third easily. And here comes another RBI spot for Joey Weimer, who's found himself in a ton ever since he had that little 2-day rest, and since that YD game where he had 4 RBIs, he's been having chances left and right.
Weimer's had 7 RBIs in his last 10 games. He'll swing at the first pitch. Something a little off speed, maybe a cutter there. And the count goes 0-1 here on Joey Weimer. And yeah, he was one of the hottest guys in the lineup. Him and Chris Gallen, the 2 of them just killing it. He's tailed off a little bit, hitting just a $154 in his last 5 games, but Still one of the more potent bats here in the Harwich lineup. The 0-1 pitch. That'll be swung on and fouled back to the screen. A lot of space between home plate and the back screen, so if a pitch from Kyle Nicholas does get past the outstretched glove of Cody Pasek, that'll certainly score Galland and move Nico Cavadas up to third.
Infield already playing in. They don't want to give up an early run here in the top of the first.
Nicholas comes set with an 0-2 count. Here comes the pitch, and that'll be swung on and missed. Weimer down on 3 pitches, and that's the second out of the inning here with Mike Ludwig coming to the plate.
Yeah, good looking breaking ball there from Nicholas at 86 miles an hour, tailing down and away to the righty Weimer rather. And a big out number 2 is that allows the infield to go back to normal depth as they try to get out of this inning with no runs allowed.
We wondered when we'd see that. Kyle Nicholas does have 25 strikeouts on the year, but he also has 17 walks. So a guy who at times has struggled with control this season. Here making his first start as a Katuitt Kettleer. And facing the Harwich Mariners. Here comes the first pitch, and Ludwig will foul that one off. Mike Ludwig, another guy who's been hitting well as of late. A cool .333 over his last 10 games, so he's really kind of come alive again at the right moment. He got a really hot start to the season, and similar to Chris Galland, kind of tailed off a little bit, but he has found his rhythm here at the right time. Ludwig stands in from the right side, the 0-1 pitch. And that will miss low and away. Another off-speed pitch, and the count is 1-1.
One of the narratives we really talked about a lot this season was Michael Ludwig having trouble getting RBI opportunities, but lately he's seen a few more. He picked up his 3rd RBI in the Chatham game that he played in right before the long layoff, so let's see if he can pick up a couple more with 2 runners in scoring position.
Nicholas deals the 1-1, high fastball, and Ludwig was way ahead of that one. So the count goes 1-2 here on Mike Ludwig. Again, this is a lineup that it feels like all the way through, with the exception of maybe a few guys. They seem to have found their rhythm at the right time, and that is certainly good here with a week left in the season and every team trying to make a playoff push. 1-2, swing and a miss, strike 3. Mike Ludwig down on strikes, and the inning is over. Harwich able to get 2 runners in scoring position with 1 away, but can't bring any across the score. It'll be Katuitt looking to strike first when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. And welcome back to Lowell Park. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey bringing you coverage of Mariners and Kettleers. And it's been a good one so far as we're through the first half inning. Harwich comes out in the field, and we will see Connor McCullough for the first time in a while. The All-Star made his Cape League All-Star debut a few days ago, pitched relatively well, and he's looked even better this season. A 1.31 ERA through 20 innings pitched. He's struck out 26 guys compared to only 6 walks, and Colin, most importantly, he's given up just 3 earned runs this year. People have really struggled to figure him out.
Yeah, and really the highlight of this season, of course, for McCullough was that 8-inning, 9-strikeout performance against the Chatham A's back on July 9th at White House Field. And since then, it seems like he's really been pitching with a lot of confidence. He's had a longer leash as well, as he hadn't made a ton of lengthy starts before that. He was actually being used out of the bullpen for a little while. But now with a chance against the Kettleers, let's see if he can continue that stretch and maybe go deep into this game, 6 or 7 innings.
So McCullough's first task will be facing Joey Loperfido, who plays in right today. We'll get the rest of the lineup here after the first pitch, but the righty kicks and deals, and that one's going to be taken into straightaway center field. Joey Weimer will settle back on it and make the catch with a little movement for out number 1. So the lineup looks like this. Loperfido flied out, then Nick Gonzalez, the second baseman, Arajanu, the DH, Matt Mervis at first, Casey Schmidt at third, Cody Pasek, your catcher, Adam Oviedo at short, Christian Robinson at center, and Parker Chavers in left. The Harwich defense is as follows. Matt Winkle gets to start behind the dish. Chris Lanzilli at first. Corey Acton at second. Dylan Noisy at short. Nico Cavadas at third. Chris Galland in left. Joey Weimer in center. And Daniel Cabrera plays in right. So it'll be Nick Gonzalez standing in here, one of the better bats in the lineup for the Cavaliers, and the guy that did not play the last time these two met, as you'll watch the first pitch miss outside for ball one. McCullough from the windup, kicks and fires. High fastball will miss outside, and he falls behind in the count here, 2-0.
It was interesting that Gonzalez, one of the better hitters on this Katuitt team, didn't find the lineup at all over the last couple of meetings between these two teams. He only played against Harwich back on June 15th.
Here he'll send one again to straightaway center. Weimer chasing this one back near the fence, and he's going to make the catch right out by the 397 sign in straightaway center for out number 2. So Joey Weimer getting some action here early, and calling a park that certainly has the capability to keep more things in. Pretty deep to straightaway center, but certainly a hitter's park on the corners.
Yep, and so far, Katuitt not wasting any time swinging. I think that was 2 pitches and 2 swings for outs, so already, or 2 pitches, I think it was 3 pitches maybe, I'm not entirely sure. But regardless, they've been really aggressive early. Let's see if Anu continues that trend.
Rajanu will take the first pitch outside for a ball. He was, of course, one of the guys in the home run derby, or sorry, the home run hitting contest, as they like to call it, here on the Cape a few days ago. And the 1-0 pitch is a big breaking ball that's going to get in there for a strike. That thing had a lot of movement to it. And that is one of the pitches that McCullough came into here, or into the Cape League throwing. He's been developing a changeup as well, so fastball, curveball, changeup. And there is the breaking ball again. Anu can only scratch his head as he swung right over the top of that pitch, and Connor McCullough's got him right where he wanted. That pitch coming in at 75 miles an hour. So with a 1-2 count, McCullough sets and deals. High fastball will miss outside, and the count is even here at 2 apiece.
Anu, the switch hitter out of the University of Kentucky. Been a bit of a power outage as of late, as it's been a couple of games since his last homer.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. He goes right over the top of the breaking ball from McCullough, and the side is retired. We go to the break. Harwich looking to strike first. When we come back, it'll be the second inning of play here on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Welcome back to Lowell Park. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey, still knotted up at 0 here as we go to the second inning. Harwich will be bringing up Dylan Noisy, Chris Lanzilli, and Pat Winkle to face off against Kyle Nicholas, who gets a second inning of work here, Colin, and really wonder how much longer he'll be going into this game, as again, not a guy that typically gets a ton of innings, typically used out of the bullpen.
Yeah, don't see any action just yet in the Katuitt bullpen, so he's got the second. Maybe we'll see him come out for the third as well.
Get the feeling as long as he's performing, why not? He had to work out of some trouble as Harwich got first and second on him. Squaring to bunt and pulling it back here is Dylan Noisy. He'll take that one in there for strike 1.
Noisy, 6 of his last 13 over this 4-game hitting streak he's had, including that 3-for-4 day against YD where he had 2 home runs, 5 RBIs.
Certainly has come alive at the right moment. He'll take a fastball low at the knees, but that's going to be in there for called strike 2. So he'll have to get protective here as Kyle Nicholas wasting no time going right to the strike zone here. Nicholas the windup and the pitch. And that one's going to be taken the other way, but well foul. Count stays 0-2 here on Dylan Noisy.
He's also raised his slugging percentage considerably. It was 182 before that YD game, and all of a sudden it's now up to 358.
Certainly will help when you have a 2-home run game and then add a couple of doubles the next day as he did. The 0-2 pitch. And that one's going to be fouled off again, so Noisy staying protective here. And that's one thing that he's done a much better job of recently, Colin. The strikeout numbers have gone down throughout this stretch for him, and that was really something he struggled with early on in the year.
Yeah, and I think that just goes along with getting more experience against these pitchers. I mean, these are some of the best collegiate pitchers in the country. It's going to take some time getting used to.
The 0-2. Breaking ball will miss low. Down around the knees, and the count to 1-2 here. So we'll see what Kyle Nicholas has in store here with a 1-2 count. The big righty kicks and fires. And that one will be fouled off, so Noisy again fighting another pitch, and he will see the 6th pitch of the at-bat here with a 1-2 count.
I mean, that's one way to get Nicholas out of the game. We know doesn't have the most stamina, but you get him to throw a lot of pitches, that's going to get him out of the game relatively quickly.
So another 1-2 dialed up by Nicholas. That one will miss outside. No, it won't. Wow, they're going to call that strike 3, and Dylan Noisy is going to be out on a called strike 3 that looked off the plate, but that is the call.
Yeah, Nicholas was looking for that outside corner. Fastball looked like it had some two-seam movement coming back over the plate, and home plate umpire rings up Noisy. So this is a big out number 1 for the Katuitt Kettleers, keeping Noisy off the base paths.
And now the last 3 outs for Kyle Nicholas have come via the K, as this first pitch is going to be fouled down the line by Chris Lanzilli. So we'll see how Lanzilli performs here. Another guy that has really done well over his last couple of games, hitting .286 over the last 10 and .400 over the last 5. Not bad for a guy that was hitting under 100 when he left for the home run derby break. Really had a chance to kind of clear his head and come back better.
Yeah, and of course he had that home run last night and a home run in the game that didn't count against Katuitt, so the power is starting to make its way towards Lanzilli's bat.
Here comes the 1-1 from Nicholas. That'll be fouled off. And Colin, it's even more important because when you look at what you can do with your offense, if Chris Lanzilli is hitting, you put him in at first base, you get to slide Cavadas and keep his bat in the lineup over there at third, and then you can put a guy like Mike Ludwig into the lineup as a DH. So you don't have to worry about maybe having to start a guy whose bat hasn't been quite as good this season. It really just bolsters the amount of offense you can have on the field at one time. Lanzilli digs in. Here's the 1-2. Another breaking ball low and away. Looked like the same spot that they rang Noisy up on, but this time it will be called a ball, and the count's at 2-2 here.
And Nicholas doing a good job of keeping the ball away on these Harwich hitters. Even the ball that Cavadas hit was a pretty good location, just a good piece of hitting by Nico.
The 2-2. That'll miss low and away. A fastball at 91. So it's a full count here on Chris Lanzilli. Not a guy historically who walks a ton. He's going to try to find his way on base with the bat in his hand and see whether he bites at something here and how close Nicholas is willing to put one in. Here comes the payoff pitch, and that'll miss down and out. Ball 4 here to Chris Lanzilli, and once again the Harwich Mariners will be the beneficiaries of a 1-out walk.
Yeah, Nicholas was trying to keep the ball low on Lanzilli, not giving him anything to elevate, and just couldn't quite get the bottom of the strike zone on the payoff pitch.
So here comes Pat Winkle. Maybe the weirdest stat about Winkle that you and I have noticed all season long is just the pure number of RBI opportunities that he's seen this season. He has 8 RBIs as a thrower to first. Will keep Lanzilli close, and that's good enough for 4th marks on the team, despite hitting just a .167. So while that was certainly a big early on, he hasn't had many opportunities lately with no RBIs over the last 5 games. Here he fouls this one away.
Looking back at Kyle Nicholas's stats at Ball State this past season, he did actually have one start against Bowling Green where he went 7 innings, striking out 11, and he threw 118 pitches in that game. So he has been able to stretch it out at the college level. Let's see if he'll be doing that this afternoon with the Katuitt Kettleers on the Cape.
Here comes Nicholas, the 0-1, and that one's going to be in there for strike 2. And yeah, I mean, Harwich has a lot more to play for here than Katuitt, as the Kettleers clinched a playoff spot over a week ago. So that Western Division has the old Hyannis insurance policy. The Harborhawks with just 7 wins this year, 26 losses and a tie. So the top 3 teams in the West have clinched. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. That one will be fouled off the foot of Pat Winkle. Meanwhile, in the East, you've got the Brewster Whitecaps at 15-19-1 in the basement, and the Chatham Anglers at 21-12-2, currently on top. So those two are separated by just 13 points. Nobody has clinched in the East yet. Another throw back over to first, trying to keep Chris Lanzilli close, and certainly a guy who has some speed, but not one of the big base stealers for the Harwich Mariners this year. Lanzilli has stolen just one base during the 2019 campaign. Nicholas sets and fires. Another pitch will be wasted here as Winkle fouls this one back behind the screen, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, Winkle's got hits in 3 of his last 5 games, so not torrential offense from the UConn catcher, but starting to kind of produce in small bunches for the Mariners at that bottom of the order.
So we'll see if he can produce again here with one out and a runner on first here in the second inning. This one's going to be skipped in the dirt. A good block there by Cody Pasek, and not getting too aggressive was Lanzilli. He didn't really take a big secondary lead as he saw Pasek keep it in front of him. So the count goes to 1-2 here. Corey Acton standing on deck, and then the top of the order due up after that. So Harwich with a big-time opportunity to maybe cash in and strike first here in this game, something that's helped them mightily this season. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. That one's going to be taken up the right side. It makes a stop as Chris Lanzilli had to stop to get out of the way, and then it squeezes by him and into right field. It'll be picked up by Lo Perfido, and it's going to be a base hit here for Pat Winkle.
Yeah, heads-up base running by Chris Lanzilli. He saw that ball was coming right his way. Just held up for just a slight moment instead of trying to jump over that ball, which is definitely tough to do when it's coming in at that high of a level. But he stops, lets the ball go through, and it's a big one-out single for Pat Winkle that puts 2 guys on base and still just 1 out.
So for the second time in as many innings, the Harwich Mariners have 2 runners on base with only 1 out. We'll see if they can capitalize here. Plenty of speed for Lanzilli on second base, and here comes Corey Acton, who's looking to find a way to get on here. He'll foul the first pitch off back to his own dugout. Acton's looked pretty good defensively this season, for as much as he's struggled at the plate. He does have 2 RBIs, though, as he had a big hit just a few days ago. Actually, I believe right before the All-Star break, he had a 2 RBI double in that game against the Brewster Whitecaps. The 0-1 pitch, and that one will be fouled away. Late call by the home plate umpires. Everybody kind of came out and started to play that ball, but it was bounced off home plate, so the count is 0-2 here on Corey Acton.
Yeah, it hit home plate and then came up and glanced off of Acton's left shoulder while he was still in the box, so took a moment, but the umpire calls it foul, and Acton digs right back in.
Acton standing in from the right side. Kyle Nicholas sets, checks the runner to second, and delivers the pitch, and that one's going to be fouled off. And actually, did that hit Corey Acton? I think it did. They're going to give him the base, but I'm with you, Colin. I think that went off the bat.
I heard wood on that one, Tyler. I don't know, and we'll have to see exactly. If there's no discussion at all, so it's going to be a hit by a pitch, and all of a sudden the bases are going to be loaded with the top of the order coming up.
And how about this? Mike Roberts is not coming out to dispute this call.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it maybe hit his hand first or his arm and then off the bat or what, but it also looked like Acton was really close to offering on that pitch with 2 strikes.
So the bases are loaded here for Daniel Cabrera, and again, no contest. First pitch will miss high and away. Harwich has gotten a runner on base. Chris Lanzilli at third on a walk. Pat Winkle's on second with a single. And Corey Acton on first with a hit by pitch. The trifecta for the Mariners. And now the leadoff man is aboard. Cabrera will take the 0-1, and that'll miss low and inside. So a 2-0 count here on Daniel Cabrera.
And Nicholas in a really tough situation. His catcher, Cody Pasek's going to go out and talk to him. The infield in once again, so they're not even going to go for 2. And actually, Mike Roberts going to head out as well to join this conversation.
And let me just tell you why this is weird. I mean, initially you could think, you know, Roberts had a really good angle on it. He is standing in the dugout, so he has the perfect angle to see Corey Acton, and he must have thought that that ball hit him. But the fact that he didn't even come out and try to dispute, under normal circumstances, you'd say, okay, well, Katuit's already clinched a playoff spot. Maybe it doesn't matter, but it really does, because what the Western teams are playing for right now is a chance to play Bourne in the first round of the playoffs instead of a Falmouth or a Wareham, and that can prove to be huge.
Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to play the Falmouth Commodores at this point in the first round, the way they've been playing. 7 straight wins for that team. And as you mentioned, Bourne definitely well off the pace from those 3 teams, so it would be an added benefit. And as you mentioned, Katuitt, every game really matters for them from here on out, even though they've already clinched a playoff spot.
I mean, you got to think this is a Bourne team that currently is sitting 12 points ahead of the Harbor Hawks with a 13-20-1 record. So the huddle is broken. Kyle Nicholas back out of the stretch here. Bases loaded for the M's in the top half of the second. Daniel Cabrera standing in with a 2-0 count. And Chris Gallen standing on deck. Here comes the pitch. And that's going to be connected on and sent into right center field. It'll get down and will score 1 at least. They'll send a second runner. The throw to third is going to be close, but not in time. Out in front of the tag there was Corey Acton with some heads-up base running. And it's going to be a runner at second and third here for the Mariners and a 2-0 lead.
Well, first of all, for Cabrera, that ball was so high that he swung at. It was literally at the letters. He got up and just wrapped that ball out into right center field. Played it 2 runs, then quite the throw coming in from right field by Joe Loperfido. Close play at second, and once again, Acton just barely in there. So Corey Acton's been the subject of a couple of really tough calls from the umpires early on in this game.
And he's standing on third now with an opportunity for Harwich to maybe take a bigger lead as the first pitch is going to be fouled away here by Chris Gallen. Gallen, of course, reached once already as he was able to get on with a walk. But it's going to be a Daniel Cabrera double that'll score 2 for the Mariners. And with an 0-1 count, here comes the next pitch, and that will skip in the dirt. It gets back to the screen. It's going to be deaded, and that will score a run. Corey Acton's going to come in to score. I mentioned it earlier, just chain link back here, and on a ball that gets back, it's going to be completely stopped, and the M's are up 3-0.
And on the play, Cabrera moves up to third, so here we go again, Tyler. The Harwich Mariners with a huge second inning against the Katuitt Kettleers, and they found themselves scoring early and often. Definitely what you want to see if you're Connor McCullough sitting in that Mariners dugout.
Of course, the biggest storyline of this ball game is still the one that came before it, the one that did not count, where Harwich put up 12 runs on this Katuitt squad. Here's a good block by Cody Basic as another pitch goes down in the dirt. That surely would have scored Daniel Cabrera, but yeah, the Harwich Mariners put up 12 runs, and then of course the rain came down and everything got washed away. So this is a makeup game of one the Harwich Mariners would have easily won earlier. Nicholas sets the 2-1 pitch, check swing, and they're going to say that one's in the zone anyway, so the count is even here at 2-2 on Chris Gallen.
And with Gallen being at the plate for that wild pitch, he picks up another RBI.
And of course for Chris Gallen as well, I mean, this is no longer a hot streak for him. He's just turned into one of the best hitters in the league, although here'll sky one that will stay on the infield, and coming in near the pitcher's mound to make the catch is Casey Schmidt, the third baseman, so that'll be the second out of the inning. Harwich still has a prime opportunity, though, as Nico Cavadas stands in, looking to drive in another run. You mentioned Nico hadn't had a ton of hits, just the 3 coming into today's game over the course of his last 10. But one of those was an RBI, and he has an opportunity to maybe add another one here. The first pitch to Cavadas, it's a fastball, and he will foul it away. Back to the screen here, the count goes 0-1.
Cavadas had a lot of success against Kettleers this season. He comes in after the double. He's now 6 of 12 on the year against Katuitt with 2 RBIs and a couple of walks as well.
0-1 to Cavadas. That's going to get off the catcher, and Cabrera comes home. There will be a throw. It's not nearly in time, and it's going to skip past the outstretched arm of Kyle Nicholas anyway. So Daniel Cabrera comes home to score. This is the second pass ball that the Mariners have scored on, and now the bases are empty, and they've taken a 4-0 lead here in the second.
Yeah, it looks like that one might be a wild pitch as Nicholas spiked that one in the dirt. It goes off of the chest protector of Cody Basic and dribbles to his right, and an aggressive move by Cabrera to come home, but he got a great jump, and he was in easily standing. So another huge inning for the Mariners early on at Lowell Park.
Pressure's off of Cavadas here with a 1-1 count. He can focus on doing whatever he does. And this is a half-hearted check swing that will chase Nicholas off. He is going to throw on to first. It chases the first baseman off the bag, but Mervis is able to apply the tag, and Cavadas is out for the third out of the inning. So that's over, but not before the Mariners strike for 4. And Colin Shade's the last game starting to set in here. The M's have a 4-0 lead when we go to the bottom of the second after this here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey back here at Lowell Park, and Colin, very similar to what we saw the first time, or the second time I should say, that these two met here at Lowell Park, as Harwich did not score a run in the first inning, but then exploded for 5 in the second, 2 in the third, and 5 in the fourth before the game was washed out. And well, they strike for 4 here in the second inning, and they've got one of their aces out on the mound in Connor McCullough. A pretty favorable situation for the M's here today.
And luckily for them, it's a beautiful day right here at Lowell Park, so no rain in the forecast. They just need to continue to keep hitting, but more importantly, Connor McCullough needs to hold up his end of the bargain. He's really done so all season long. Let's see how he can pitch with this 4-run lead in the middle of the lineup coming up for a pretty solid Katuitt Kettleers batting order.
It's been so far so good for Connor McCullough. He's only faced 3 guys, but he's retired all 3, and it's worth noting that Joey Loperfido and Nick Gonzalez, while they both flied out to center, did give the ball a pretty good ride. So the ball kind of jumping off the bats today for the Kettleers offense, and he'll have to face the heart of the order here. Matt Mervis, Casey Schmidt, and Cody Pasek. First pitch is fouled back to the screen here by Matt Mervis. Of course, Mervis made the tag that ended the inning on Nico Cavadas after he was chased off the bag, but an inning that, thanks to a couple of wild pitches slash passed balls, plated for Harwich Mariners. Fastball in there for a strike from Connor McCullough, and he's out ahead here 0-2. And how good has he been this year at just getting ahead of hitters?
And that's kind of been the big key for a lot of these guys in this Mariners rotation, staying ahead of hitters. We've seen Jacob Polish do it all year long. Here's McCullough doing it again this afternoon.
There's the breaking ball, and it's a big hook. Cutting right through that one was Matt Mervis. He looked absolutely silly, and that'll be the first out of the inning here. Second strikeout for Connor McCullough.
Yeah, back-to-back strikeouts dating back to last inning after a couple of pretty hard-hit balls from the 1 and 2 hitters of the Katuitt lineup. So now he's starting to miss bats, and if Connor McCullough is going to be missing bats like he did against Chatham at home, it could be a long day for the Kettleers lineup.
Here comes Casey Schmidt for the first time today, the third baseman digging in. He played back in that game between these two earlier this year, and first pitch he sees will be taken down the left field line. It's going to stay just fair, as chasing it over is Chris Galland. He will pick it up and fire this one in, and it's going to be a jogging stand-up double here for Casey Schmidt. The first hit of the day, and a runner in scoring position with 1 away here for the Kettleers.
Yep, Schmidt just kind of got around on that pitch, left over the middle of the plate by McCullough. Rare mistake from him, and the STS product just yanks it down the line, and he ends up picking up his 6th double of the season.
So it'll be up to the catcher here in Cody Pasek to try to get something started here for the Katuitt Kettleers. They trail by 4 here in their half of the second. Home here at Lowell Park. McCullough out of the stretch, the first pitch, and that one will miss high. A fastball, 4-1. So McCullough going to the stretch for the first time today. We'll see whether or not that hampers him with a runner in scoring position. It was Connor Seckler on the bump the last time that these two started a game. He pitched 3 scoreless innings. The 0-1, that's going to be in there for a strike. McCullough delivering another fastball, and Colin, his fastball is not overpowering. It's coming in between 89 to 91, but his location has really been impeccable, and the off-speed has been nasty this season.
And it's really good to see him have that success after taking that year off because of transfer.
Here comes the 1-1. There's the breaking ball, and that's going to be in there for strike 2. And I mean, talk about the advantage of a fresh arm. I mean, his changeup and curveball have been absolutely deadly this year, and you wonder whether taking a year off really helped that out. So the 1-2 count, standing back in here is Cody Pasek. He's got to be awfully careful. See what McCullough elects to go with here to try to put him out. The 1-2 pitch, and that's going to be taken down the first base line, but foul. So the count stays 1-2 as McCullough tried to get a fastball past him. For Connor McCullough, his first game of the season this year was his first time pitching to live hitting in over a full calendar year. So he did not have any action right after transferring. Here he will spin and check the runner back to second.
Pasek's been pretty patient against right-handed pitching this year with 13 walks, the most against righties among everyone on his team.
Here comes the 1-2. There's the big hook, and that one's just narrowly. I don't know where that one missed, but they're going to call it ball 2 here on Connor McCullough, who put that one in the perfect spot, but a 2-2 count nonetheless.
And there's a perfect example of that patience. A very tough pitch, but Pasek able to lay off and even up the count.
So McCullough will have to battle back here, setting up the 2-2 pitch. It's a fastball that'll be driven out to right field. Plenty of time for Daniel Cabrera to take about 2 steps to his left and make the catch. The runner tags. Cabrera's throw will come in, not nearly in time. So it will be the second out of the inning, but Casey Schmidt moves up just 90 feet away for Adam Oviedo here. And Oviedo will have a pretty big at-bat coming up as the Cotuit Cavaliers really need to get some of these runs back.
Yeah, Oviedo has one of just the 3 RBIs from the starting 9 against the Harwich Mariners this season. The other 2 belonging to Araj Anu on the 2-run home run he hit the last completed game that took place here at Lowell Park between these 2 teams. Let's see if Oviedo can add to that RBI total here.
First pitch to Oviedo's a high fastball, and Colin, talk a little bit more about that. You looked at the lineup coming into this game, and it's really kind of an interesting choice who they decided to put out there.
Yeah, it's a tough choice, though, in general for Coach Roberts, considering Cotuit hasn't had a ton of success at the plate, just 194 this year against Harwich.
This is a fastball that'll catch the zone and even the count here at 1-1. So despite not really being able to hit the Mariners this year, Cotuit has done their end on the pitching side, and they have a 1-run lead in the season series. 2 wins and a loss for Cotuit against the Harwich Mariners this year, looking to make it a 3-1 season spread. As this one's fouled back off, and a good grab by Mike Roberts, although he didn't secure the ball with 2 hands, and he'll drop it over there as the third base coach. So with a 1-2 count, it will be Adam Oviedo standing back in, 2 away here, runner on third. Mariners lead it 4-0 here in the second. The pitch. Coming with the hook again. Actually, that might have been the changeup, and the count here is 2-2.
Yeah, Cotuit, an opportunity to chip into this lead early. I mean, they got to have some form of answer after the 4-run inning from Harwich at the top half of the second.
Here comes the 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. That time McCullough got him with a changeup, and that will end the inning. So it's another clean frame for Connor McCullough. Mariners still lead it 4-0 when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to Cotuit. Tyler Henry alongside Kyle and Casey, a new pitcher coming into the game here for the Cotuit Cavaliers. It'll be the end of the day for Kyle Nicholas after giving up 4 runs, and Evan Justice will take over to replace him. And Colin, give us the line on Evan this year.
It's been a bit of a rough year for Justice as he's 0-3 with a 7.41 ERA. In 17 innings pitched, he's given up 14 earned runs and walked 13 guys compared to just 9 strikeouts. So with a 4-0 deficit right now, his job is to try to keep things at bay, and it's a golden opportunity for him to maybe build a little more trust with his manager, Coach Mike Roberts.
Kind of an interesting way that they've managed this game is, again, they put a guy out there that typically doesn't start games in Kyle Nicholas. Now they bring Evan Justice in with a 4-run deficit to try to keep things right where they're at. So it'll be Joey Weimer, Mike Ludwig, and Dylan Noisy, the first guys that he will face, and we'll see how he fares through this part of the lineup, a part that all struck out one way or another the first time up. The lefty kicks and fires. Weimer will take that one, and boy, another pitch that looked low and away as Weimer kind of looks back at the home plate umpire but they're going to call that a strike. So with an 0-1 count, Justice comes set. Here comes the pitch. Once again, keeping it outside, this time off speed, and the count goes 1-1 here on Joey Weimer.
We've seen Weimer's success at White House Field. I'm sure he'll be happy to go back there finally tomorrow afternoon.
1-1, high and away. That one will miss for ball 2.
Seems like it's been forever. It's been a week, considering the home game yesterday was actually a game in which it was played at Eldridge Park, and Harwich was just the home team.
Weimer swings through the 2-1. Yeah, it was a strange day as Harwich was able to run the concession stands. They were able to take half the money that was collected on the day, and they had their own PA announcer, but still technically a home game for the at Eldridge Park for the Orleans Firebirds. So with a 2-2 count, here comes the pitch to Weimer. That one's off speed, keeping it high and away, and loading up the count here is Evan Justice. Justice looking for a put-out pitch against one of the hardest hitting bats here in the Harwich lineup. Here comes the payoff. And Weimer's going to chop that one high in the air, but right at the third baseman, Casey Schmidt, who picks it up and fires across the diamond in time to retire the first out of the inning.
Yep, Weimer getting on top of that pitch and tried chopping it over the head of Schmidt over at third, but good positioning. He just had to reach up, glove it, and make a simple throw on to first for out number 1.
But that's another thing that you see Joey Weimer kind of give himself a chance with, is even if that ball doesn't get over the head of the third baseman, it gives him time to run, and he made that awfully close over there at first. So here's Mike Ludwig. He's 0 for 1 today with a strikeout himself. He'll stand in from the right side to face off against the lefty Evan Justice, and here comes the first pitch. That'll be chopped foul back to the backstop. Harwich here in their half of the third inning at Lowell Park, leading it 4-0. And the 0-1 pitch. And that's going to miss inside. Count even here at 1-1.
And for Justice, he's kind of been a victim of stats earlier in the year. He's gotten a lot better over his last 3 appearances, so looking to kind of build on those successful games as that pitch misses low. You look back over his last 8 innings, he's given up 4 earned runs, but it's better than where he was earlier in the season, including an outing against Wareham where he allowed 5 earned runs on 7 hits.
Certainly could be worse, as the 2-1 is going to miss inside. That'll make it a 3-1 count here on Mike Ludwig. And it seems like control has kind of been something that he has struggled with a bit this season, as have many pitchers. But this year, just 9 strikeouts to 13 walks for Justice, who will fill the count here with a fastball strike and a 3-2 count here on Mike Ludwig. Ludwig still looking for his first hit of the season against the Kettleers, and, well, he'll get an on-base spot as that one's going to miss in the dirt, and it's going to be another one-out walk here to the Harwich Mariners. That's how they've started the first and second innings, and, well, they cashed in last inning. We'll see what they can do here.
Yeah, and Justice now issued a walk in each of his 7 appearances so far. I mean, one of his big issues, as we've talked about already, is control. He had 3 walks in his last appearance against Hyannis, despite only giving up 2 runs, so these free passes are something that Justice really has to work on if he wants to strive to become an even better and better pitcher.
So here is Dylan Noisy. Quick throw over to first, trying to keep Mike Ludwig close, as Harwich has still had problems on the base paths this year. That's been something that has kind of come back to haunt them a time or two, as they've been picked off multiple times over the course of the last week. It'll be lefty on righty here with Dylan Noisy standing in from the left side. Here comes the pitch. And that will miss outside for ball 1, so control continues to be an issue for Evan Justice, who has put 5 of the last 6 pitches out of the zone.
A little dip on the velocity compared to Kyle Nicholas that the Mariners are going to have to adjust to, as Justice's fastball peaks in the low 80s, whereas Nicholas, who's getting up to 95, 96 on the fastball.
Here comes the 1-0 pitch. That one's fouled back to the screen by Noisy. The other interesting thing about the delivery of Evan Justice, he almost takes a little half step home before he lets it go, and that can play havoc to a runner at first, because if you're not expecting that, or if you are expecting that and he steps off the rubber instead, he could very well catch you off the base.
Yeah, it's almost like a left-handed version of Carter Capp's delivery from the stretch.
So with a 1-1 count, Ludwig steps off, and this pitch will miss a mile outside. Does a good job by Pasek to go over there and get a glove on it, and the count goes 2-1.
Of course, with Carter Capps, he had to actually adjust his delivery at home, as the MLB ended up ruling his original stretch delivery as a balk, so he had to adjust accordingly to that.
Certainly not something you can do is here stepping off and firing to first finally, that pickoff move we expected out of Evan Justice. But yeah, there are a lot of little things that have kind of become more and more frowned upon across all levels of baseball. And that little half-step delivery is one of them. Justice sets, here comes the 2-1. And that will miss upstairs, so it's going to be 3-1 here to Dylan Noisy, who himself is 0 for 1 with a strikeout, but again, he's looked very good over the past couple of games. See whether or not he can continue that. The 320 sign down the left field line could be a very big help to him. The 3-1. That's going to miss low and inside. Back-to-back walks here by Evan Justice, and once again, the Mariners will have 2 runners on with 1 away, and Chris Lanzilli coming up to the plate.
Yep, Lanzilli, we saw the damage he did the last time the Mariners were at Lowell Park, and did some damage yesterday, hitting an absolute bomb of a home run in game number 2 against Katuitt in the losing effort. But it's great to see the power returning to his bat, and he's got a golden opportunity to add to that RBI total here.
He got his first unofficial home run right here at Lowell Park, and that one was, like everything else, scraped away by the rain. So he'll come up here with a big-time opportunity. He reached on a walk back in the second inning and scored the first run of the day for the Harwich Mariners. See whether or not he can drive a few in here. Lanzilli from the left side, Evan Justice, the lefty, brings the first pitch home. And once again, he will miss wildly outside. He's not even getting these pitches near home plate. And it looks like he's very concerned, trying to stay away from these Harwich hitters.
Yeah, it looks like he's trying to keep everything away on them. Might be a sign that he had been getting beat inside earlier in the season, trying to keep things away, but a little bit of overkill here, trying to keep the ball away from them.
He'll check the runner back to second. Here comes his 1-0, and that will miss inside. So from one side to the other, he can't find the strike zone, and Chris Lanzilli is going to be very patient here, waiting for a pitch he can potentially drive. It's Mike Ludwig on second base, Dylan Noisy on first. Harwich with a 4-0 lead here in the third inning. And finally, a pitch in the zone is bringing another fastball home was Evan Justice, and the count goes 2-1.
3 of the 4 runs for Harwich so far coming from the 7, 8, and 9 hitters, all of them reaching base with 1 away in the second.
And it almost looked like Ludwig was content to keep the bat on the shoulder for as long as it took. Finally got a strike, and here he will send one, but right at the shortstop. They'll flip the short way for 1, the long way for 2, and it's going to be a 6-4-3 double play to end the inning. So once again, Harwich comes close, but they can't strike this time. Still a 4-0 lead. When we come back, it'll be the Katuitt Cavaliers half of the inning here on the third inning on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Another inning coming up here at Lowell Park. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey as we go here to the bottom half of the third, and it'll be Christian Robinson, Parker Chambers, and Joey Loperfido due up here. Only one guy's gotten on base off of Connor McCullough today, and it came via a double. So Colin, his off speed has been exceptional today, and he just shows no signs of slowing down here as he'll face 3 more batters.
And you mentioned that his off speed has been exceptional. I feel like we find ourselves saying that about pretty much every Harwich Mariner starter that goes out there, and that's just a lot of credit to the coaching staff, including Jeff Neiman in that pitching coach role this season. He's really had a huge impact, especially on developing the breaking balls for a lot of these guys.
First pitch to Robinson is a fastball that'll miss low and inside. Only one game to update you on across the league. It's the Bourne Braves and Hyannis Harbor Hawks playing in another doubleheader. The last time those two met for a doubleheader, it was Bourne who got the sweep, as a fastball will miss just low and inside to make the count 2-0 here. It's a 4-2 lead for the Bourne Braves, and then the next game in action is scheduled to be Hyannis and Bourne as well for the second half. Falmouth plays Orlean, Whitey plays Chatham, and it's going to be Brewster and Wareham with the day off today. This one's going to be sent high in the air. Tracking it out in right field is Daniel Cabrera, and he will come in and meet Joey Weimer halfway between their posts and put it away for out number 1.
Yeah, there's been a couple of solid swings by the Kettleers in which they've hit fairly deep fly balls out towards center and right field, but there is a bit of a wind coming in as, of course, Lowell Park not too far from the water, just at the southern point of Cape Cod, so that might have played a little bit of a role in a couple of these fly balls, keeping them in the ballpark.
So for the first time today, here comes Parker Chavers. First pitch he sees will miss inside for ball 1, and certainly field condition that can not play a ton of havoc, but play a little havoc in as guys try to get it out of the park. Did not stop Katuitt from getting off to the hottest start in home runs at the beginning of the year. This one misses as well to make it a 2-0 count.
320 feet down the left field line for righties, about average considering all the ballparks across the league.
Ball hits Acton at second. He moves 2 steps to his left, makes the play, and fires on to first in time for the second out of the inning. And this year, 30 home runs for the Kettleers, but considering that they had 12 bombs through the first 6 games of the season, they've really kind of slowed down their pace. They still have more than Harwich, of course. The Mariners have amassed just 16 bombs this year, so just over half of the Katuitt total.
8 of those, of course, belonging to Nico Cavadas.
Over half. So Joey Loperfido steps in, actually right at half, and the first pitch is going to be spiked in the dirt and off the chest plate of Pat Winkle. It'll roll back to the screen. The count is 1-0 here on the leadoff man, who flied out to center his first time up, getting his second hacks here. Kettleers looking to dig out of a bit of a hole. And the off-speed pitch will miss outside here by Connor McCullough, who's been missing his first couple of pitches here in this inning, but so far he's battled back and gotten the first 2 guys. And he'll miss again, this time with a fastball. Same spot, though, and the count is 3-0.
McCullough looking to avoid surrendering his first walk of the ball game. His control has been pretty much perfect so far.
The 3-0, fastball right down the pipe, and it'll be a 3-1 count here on Joey Loperfido. Loperfido, one of the brightest spots in a very bright lineup for the Kettleers this year. The 3-0-1 pitch is going to be in there for a called strike, and there it is again, Colin, that inside corner that looks like it's playing off the plate, but it's been given to everybody today. So McCullough sets and deals the payoff. That's going to be chopped at Acton again. He won't even have to move this time, and he will throw on to first for the 3rd out of the inning. Once again, the Katuitt bats go quietly. Harwich has faced 1 off the minimum, and they will come up for their half, trying to pad a few more runs onto this 4-0 lead when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.
Welcome back to Lowell Park. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry. The Mariners with a 4-0 lead early in this one, and the 3rd pitcher of the game for the Katuitt Kettleers as Evan Justice pitches a clean top of the 3rd inning. In the top of the 4th, it's going to be Christopher Farrell coming on as he is 0-1 on the season, 6.23 ERA. He started 4 games, and this is his 8th total appearance, 17 innings pitched. As giving up 12 earned runs, walked 17, and striking out 13. So Tyler, another guy who hasn't had as much success this season as he wishes, but golden opportunity to keep his team in this ball game.
And it's weird to me that, again, for a team that doesn't have a very deep bullpen, they're kind of going through arms today. And, you know, they're going to have a stretch similar to what Harwich has where they'll have to play 8 games over the course of the next 7 days. So an interesting move here to bring another guy in after Evan Justice was able to pitch through the 3rd inning without giving up a run. But nonetheless, Harwich will have an opportunity to take over and build some more momentum here if they can find a way to scratch a few more runs across.
Farrell out of William and Mary. Great Falls, Virginia native will be greeted by the 8, 9, and 1 hitters for Harwich. Pat Winkle, Corey Acton, Daniel Cabrera, all of whom came across to score in the 2nd inning. Pat Winkle reached via a single his last time up. Grounded one right between the 1st and 2nd baseman on the right side of the infield. So the UConn catcher digs in. A slight shift from the infielders with Schmidt playing well off 3rd base as first pitch misses low for ball 1.
Yeah, they're basically giving the entirety of the 3rd base line and everything off of it here to Pat Winkle. See whether or not he can push one that way.
Farrell's 1-0 misses outside, and there you see it again. All these Katuitt pitchers making sure to keep the ball away on Harwich hitters. Looks like they've done their scouting and know that Harwich loves pitches middle in. 2-0, this one comes up and in and misses for ball 3.
And control continues to be an issue here for some of the guys in the bullpen as Evan Justice, despite not giving up any runs, did walk 2 guys, and then Kyle Nicholas walked 2 and hit 1.
That 3-0 is a fastball over for a strike at 89 miles an hour. And the 3-1. That misses inside for ball 4, so Pat Winkle reaches base for the 2nd time in this one. It's a leadoff walk for Harwich to begin the 4th inning.
Yep, not a bad way to get things started here, and that'll bring up Corey Acton, who was hit by a pitch and came around to score back in the 2nd inning. So Harwich has got the bats going with the top of the order looming again here, and they may be looking to add a few more runs onto their security.
Acton, after being hit by a pitch, as there's a quick throw over on Winkle. After he was hit by a pitch, he advanced on a 2-run single from Daniel Cabrera up to 3rd and ended up scoring on a wild pitch. First pitch to Acton is sliced foul down the left field line out of play.
Got a pretty good piece of that one, just sent it way down the other side. So we'll see whether or not, I mean, it's a similar shift here. They're keeping Casey Schmidt, the 3rd baseman, well off of 3rd base and trying to do this on both lefties here at the bottom of the order. Corey Acton might want to try to put one down the side there and maybe lay a bunt down the 3rd base line and just move the runner up here.
0-1 misses outside. Acton out of the University of Florida, Fort Lauderdale native. Had hits in back-to-back games for the first time all season in July 14th and July 17th as takes a breaking ball that misses up and away, but over the last couple of games, he's now 0 for his last 5, including a pinch hit opportunity against YD on July 19th and an 0 for 4 against Chatham. 6-4 loss just before this weather-delayed 4-game break as the 2-1 misses up and away.
Yep, and plenty of time for a lot of these guys to kind of kick back and actually enjoy a few days off, although he couldn't go to the beach or anything like that with all the rain, but nice to have finally a break from some baseball action for some of these guys who had played in every game since the 22nd.
Going to be quite the hectic sprint to the finish with all these games scheduled, as there's an opposite field swing out towards left field and a base hit for Corey Acton. So that ball's going to get by the left fielder Shavers, and Pat Winkle advances to 3rd, Acton up to 2nd. A pretty crucial error by Parker Shavers as he tried picking that ball up on a hop, and it's now going to be 2nd and 3rd with still nobody out in the top of the order due up.
Yeah, not really sure what went through the head there of Parker Shavers. It's not like he was going to have a big-time opportunity to come up firing. You know, maybe he thought that he would have had a shot to stop Pat Winkle at 3rd, but instead it's going to result in the runners moving up. And once again, Daniel Cabrera stands on. He's already gotten 2 RBIs on a double that came back in the 2nd inning.
Infield comes back in for Katuitt. That is the second error of the season for Shavers. And now Cabrera with a chance to add to his 2 RBIs this afternoon. First pitch is on the outside corner for strike 1.
And I think more importantly, really good to see Corey Acton barrel up that ball and drive it to the opposite field, something that he's kind of struggled to do throughout the majority of this season. So Acton, and again, I mean, like a lot of other guys, starting to maybe come alive here at the right time.
Pitch from Farrell is a slow roller up the first baseline, foul.
And if you're Harwich, you cannot afford to leave these runners on base here, as they've already had several opportunities throughout the course of this game. And with nobody out and 2 runners in scoring position, you got to think you have to score at least 1 here.
Left a couple of guys on base back in the first inning. Back-to-back strikeouts to the end of the inning from Weimer and Ludwig. Farrell comes set. His 0-2 is up and away, and it gets past the catcher Pasek, and Winkle will score easily. That is the 3rd wild pitch that has resulted in a run so far in the game for Katuitt.
And Katuitt just doesn't seem to be on their game at all today. Everybody, the batters, the field, I mean, everybody just looks off right now. I am not sure what's going on, but this is not the kind of stuff you expect to see when you play or when you watch a Cape League game.
So Winkle comes in to score to make it 5-0. Corey Acton advances to third. It's now a 1-2 count to Daniel Cabrera. And that pitch is a breaking ball in the dirt, and Pasek does a nice job keeping the ball in front of him and avoiding pass ball, or wild pitch, I should say, number 4.
And there's not a lot that Pasek could do on 2 of the 3 because they were thrown so far outside of the zone and high that, I mean, nobody in the right mind was going to be able to get a glove on that.
Farrell looking to get an out desperately here. The 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. He climbed the ladder on the fastball at 89, and Cabrera couldn't catch up to it. A big out number 1 with 1 already home in the inning, and Chris Gallen coming to the plate.
Yeah, but this will be the hottest hitter in, arguably over the last 10 games, the hottest hitter in the entire Cape League. He's hitting .448 over his last 4, or over his last 10, .526 over his last 5, and 8 RBIs in that span.
0 for 1 with a pop out and a walk, as first pitch is breaking ball down and in for ball 1. Gallen, the Sudbury, Mass native, attends Boston College, so very familiar with Eastern Massachusetts, both the Boston area and the Cape, with his 2nd season with the Mariners, as he'll lay off a pitch down and away for ball 2. Gallen, earlier in the season, found himself towards the bottom of the order, but as he's gotten hotter and hotter, he's now found himself a home in that 2 spot, as breaking ball is over for a strike.
Well, and again, it seemed like he started off at the top of the order near the beginning of the season, then dipped through as his average fell. He fell in the lineup, which makes sense. And then, of course, now lately, finding himself back up at the top at the right time, and the outfield looking really good for Harwich. A good 4-man squad.
Infield remains in. The 2-1 is fouled off of the catcher Pasek, so even count now 2-2 to the BC Eagle. Nico Cavadas waiting in the on-deck circle. He's 1 for 2 in this one with a double back in the first. Corey Acton still over at third base. Acton had a couple of runs scored in that Brewster game. Final score of that one being 12-11, and that one wasn't even completed. A high-scoring affair. There's a ground ball to short. Nice sliding stop by Oviedo. The long throw is in time, and Adam Oviedo does a great job of keeping Acton at third base while getting the out at first, and a huge out number 2 for the Katuitt Kettleers.
And that was an absolutely crucial stop. And again, because he was playing in a little bit, being cautious of the runner coming across the score, he had to make that so much quicker. So a good move there by Oviedo to get the ball, and now it'll be Nico Cavadas, who is 1 for 2 with a double today, trying to drive in the run yet again.
First pitch to the big lefty, misses outside.
Cavadas was at the plate when a couple of runs came across the score back in the 2nd inning, including Corey Acton and Daniel Cabrera. Acton now stands on third base.
And the 1-0 is just below the knees. Cavadas from Granger, Indiana. Got some decent space in the straight up the middle, with the infielders playing well off the second base back, the middle infielders, as he's now ahead in the count 3-0. It'll be interesting to see if he has the green light. and they're just going to intentionally walk him with a 3-0 count. So Cavadas heads down to first, and it's going to be runners to the corners with two-way, and Joey Weimer coming to the dish.
Interesting move there. They will get to Joey Weimer, who, again, has looked pretty good all season long, but they do get the matchup that they want. So it'll be righty on righty here, and Joey Weimer being shown a little disrespect here as they put him on and put runners to the corners for him instead.
The outfielder out of the University of Cincinnati has runners to the corners with two-way in the fourth. Lays off the first pitch down and away from Christopher Farrell.
And I'll tell you what, we didn't see a single intentional walk through the first 20 or 25 games of the season. We've seen 3 over the course of the last week to Harwich hitting.
Big stance from Weimer. The 1-0 is another breaking ball as Farrell has really thrown that a lot. It's 73 miles an hour this time, but he's had trouble locating it as he falls behind again. 2-0 to Joey Weimer.
And if you load the bases, you're going to do so for Mike Ludwig, who's already reached base once today, but you lose the matchup that you want. So with 2 outs, this is an absolutely crucial one for the Kettleers to find.
2-0 is hit on the ground and through the left side of the infield for a base hit. Coming in to score is Acton. It's an RBI single for Joey Weimer as he breaks an 0 for 8, and the Mariners take a 6-0 lead.
Yeah, Harwich just keeps piling it on, and again, I mean, why not? You got to think they showed up to the ballpark pretty angry today after what happened the last time these two tried to play a game here at Kituitt. So it'll be Mike Ludwig with runners at first and second, and they may not be done scoring yet, as Ludwig still does not have a hit against Kituitt so far, but he's been really, really good throughout the entire season and even better over the last 10 games.
It's actually Joey Weimer's first hit since July 17th, not counting the All-Star game. So, been a long time since he's been able to break through, but he ends up picking up an RBI, and first pitch to Mike Ludwig misses low and outside.
We talked about how good he looked when he came off of that little break. They gave him a few days off, and he really did, but then after that kind of slowed down a little bit and dropped the pace.
In his defense, he's also drawn 4 walks in the meantime, so his patience has certainly still been there as the 1-0 to Ludwig misses in the dirt.
And speaking of patience, Ludwig taking a couple here at the beginning of the at-bat is continuing to struggle to find the zone is Christopher Farrell.
2 home in the inning for the Mariners, 2 on base with 2 away. The pitch from Farrell. That one's over, 2-1.
And we'll see whether or not Ludwig probably has a big green light here with a 2-1 count and may have been taking that last pitch all the way. Didn't look very interested in offering it whatever it was, but now he will snap into action.
Schmidt once again playing well off the bag at third, and there's a ground ball to the right side. Glove down by Mervis, and he touches first to end the inning. But the Mariners pick up a couple insurance runs. They now lead it 6-0 after 3.5 from Lowell Park. You're listening to Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Mariners Radio Network. To the bottom of the fourth we go, 6-0 Harwich Mariners lead as they look to try to create some more space between them and the Brewster Whitecaps, coming in a game and a half up on Brewster. They have an opportunity to make it 2.5 games, with Brewster having 2 games in hand after today on the Harwich Mariners.
Yep, this could be a big swing game, and again, to build some momentum here and go into a series with YD, it'll be a home and home following today's game at White House Field tomorrow, and then at Red Wilson after that.
First pitch in the bottom of the fourth from Connor McCullough is a breaking ball that misses low and outside to Nick Gonzalez, who flew out to deep center in his first at-bat. 1-0 is wrapped foul, a chopper to the left side off the fence. Gonzalez now 0 for 6 against Harwich this season. He's reached base a couple of times via a walk, but has also struck out 3 times. So one of the hotter hitters in the league. Still having trouble solving Harwich pitching as he ducks out of the way of a curveball to make it 2-1.
Yeah, big hook there by McCullough, who's been, I mean, again, he's looked really good, but he's been getting behind hitters here in the last couple of innings, something he did not do during the first 2.
A heater misses high and outside, so McCullough behind to Gonzalez, 3-1. Righty against righty, the pitch is chopped foul once again. Gonzalez out of New Mexico State. Looking to try to get something going for Katuitt, as offensively they've really struggled over the last few games against Harwich. And he will chop another ball to the left side foul.
So we'll see whether or not Gonzalez can find his way on here. So many players have struggled to do against Connor McCulley. He's got a full count, which is pretty favorable when you think about it, as a lot of guys struggle to even get that far. McCullough cutting down a lot of guys early in counts.
Last official game between these two teams was a 2-0 victory for Katuitt, as the payoff pitch is a breaking ball that misses outside for ball 4. That is the first walk surrendered by Connor McCullough, and it comes to lead off the bottom of the 4th inning.
So as Arajanu steps in, Colin, I got a little stat action for you. So when you take a look at the difference between Chatham, who's in first place in the East, and Brewster, who's in last place, the difference in potential, or when you look at the potential points that Chatham needs to clinch a playoff spot, they need 3 wins. For the Bourne Braves, they need 3.5 wins, or 3 wins and a tie, to clinch that last spot in the West.
There's a swing and a drive out towards left field and deep, and a leaping catch just in front of the wall by Chris Galland, as Arajanu with some opposite field power, but unable to get it over the BC Eagles' head, and he makes the catch for out number 1.
What about grab by Galland there, as he had to kind of come across his body and make an awkward catch. Somehow he's able to grab that at the wall. So Matt Mervis, who was 0 for 1 with a strikeout, comes up. But all that to say, there's a very, very good chance, there is a very big possibility that all 4 playoff spots in the West could be handed out before a single team in the East clinches.
Huge difference in disparity from both divisions this season, as first pitch to Mervis is over for a strike. Matt Mervis has faced Harwich both as a batter and a pitcher. In fact, the 2-0 victory for Katuitt at White House Field, he had a 3-inning save in which he recorded 7 strikeouts. Struck out the last 6 batters of the ball game. And this time he rips a single out towards right field. Cabrera fields it. Stopping at second is Gonzalez, and Katuitt might have something cooking with 1 away in the 4th.
Yeah, Cabrera got on that ball very quickly. He was playing relatively shallow, surprisingly enough, on Matt Mervis, and that will hold Nick Gonzalez up at second. So with 1 away, it'll bring up Casey Schmidt. Harwich with the possibility of a double play, certainly something they could find a way to get, but any way out of the inning would be a good way, so long as it prevents any runs from coming across for this Katuitt team.
Schmidt in his first at-bat ripped a double down the left field line. Infield for Harwich, a double play depth. Noisy and Acton playing really close to that second base bag. A look over at second by McCullough. And his first pitch misses high for ball 1. McCullough touching 91 on that fastball, so still keeping that velocity relatively deep into the start. Gonzalez at second, Mervis at first. 1 out in the 4th and a 6-0 lead for Harwich. And that ball's in the dirt. Winkle stops it momentarily, but it trickles through the pads, and both runners will advance. So now 2 in scoring position for Katuitt, with still 1 out in the inning. Yeah,
Winkle did everything that he could have, but that eliminates the double play, and that's huge for Katuitt, as now a couple of different possibilities, and it puts a sac fly in play for a guy who's been seeing the ball pretty well this year. So all Casey Schmidt has to do here is put one relatively deep into the outfield, and he will likely score the first run of the day here for the Kettleers.
From the windup, McCullough's 2-0 is fouled off the inside part of the home plate umpire's leg. Looks to that he is all right. Cody Pasek waiting in the on-deck circle, the lefty. But right now it's Casey Schmidt trying to bring home a couple of big runs to give Cotuit some life offensively. From the windup, the 2-1 is a high pop-up straight up towards shallow left field, and Dylan Noisy comes in to make the catch for out number 2.
Well, that's about as good of an out as you could hope for the Mariners. Something easy to field that you don't have to worry about looking the runner back on, and that stays shallow enough, obviously being on the infield, that there's no concern of the runner coming home. So now they can focus up on getting Cody Pasek, who flied out to right field his first time up. Find a way to get him out and get out of yet another inning unscathed. Head to the 5th with a 6-run lead.
Lefty out of the University of Maine digs in, and he lays off a first pitch fastball low for ball 1. Pasek came in today with a .236 batting average, 5 RBIs on the season. He's got 2 on base right now in scoring position, and hits a broken back grounder towards the right side, and it's a foul ball. Pasek will have to go grab new lumber.
And while he does that, I wanted to pass along part of the reason why the Bourne Braves are closer is they do get a victory in the first game of the doubleheader. That game has gone final. So a 4-2 victory for the Bourne Braves over the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. And if they can find a way to pull off a win in game 2 of that doubleheader, they will need just 2 more wins, and they find themselves in the playoffs with a locked spot. So in the East, it's going to be awfully tight. In the West, we may have the playoffs set here in 3 days.
Time slowly drifting away here in the month of July as we get ready for the playoffs scheduled to begin on August 2nd. That first round set of series, best of 3 series between the top 4 teams in each division, as first pitch to Cody Pasek with his new bat misses down and inside for a ball. McCullough fighting to get out of this inning unscathed, the 2-1. That one's over for strike 2. See if McCullough goes back to the fastball after locating it well on the outside corner.
I mean, he's got a couple of different pitches to play with here, but certainly the fastball is one that he likes. I'm guessing we'll see him go off speed here.
2-2, it is a breaking ball down in the dirt. Check swing from Pasek, and the appeal is unsuccessful for the Mariners as the third base umpire says he holds up. It's a full count.
Yep, the count 3-2 here, and plenty of options for McCullough, but it's going to be about finding a way to put the ball on the bat here for Cody Pasek.
Payoff pitch, and there's a high fly ball coming into short center field. Weimer comes all the way in, and he's going to make the catch, calling off Noisy for out number 3. So despite 2 runners in scoring position, Connor McCullough gets out of the inning. He's pitched 4 scoreless so far. The Mariners lead at 6-0 at Lowell Park. You're listening to Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Mariners Radio Network. Welcome back to Cotuit. 6-0. Harwich Mariners lead the Cotuit Kettleers here at Lowell Park. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry. And Tyler, the Mariners, after that big outburst in the game that didn't count, 12-0 through just under 4 innings before that game was discontinued. They've repeated the same success today, of course, not to the same extent, with half of the runs in basically the same amount of innings. What has been the difference the Mariners have had here this time at Lowell Park compared to that first game of the season?
I mean, I think that first game really just kind of was a well, the first game of the season or the first.
The first game between these two teams here at Lowell Park back on June 15th.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is going to be the new pieces that came in. I mean, a lot of new guys coming in for the Harwich Mariners. Plenty of them find their way into the lineup today, including Dylan Noisy, Corey Acton, and Pat Winkle. But I mean, the offense has just kind of turned it on over the course of the last couple of weeks, and really, you can look at a jumping-off point for that being that game against Wareham right before Harwich came in and almost took a big win over Katuitt, and then they've just kind of never looked back. So, you know, a team that, again, they're getting hot at the right time, especially with the bats, and you pair that with the deadliest pitching in the league as Noisy swings through this for strike one. They can be a formidable opponent come playoff time.
Mariners have been in the basement in terms of a lot of hitting stats throughout the entire season as Noisy falls behind 0-2 on a fastball on the inside corner, but over the last 2 to 3 weeks, it's been a bit of a change for the Mariners as they've been starting to see the ball better, being a little more patient, and being aggressive at the right times as Noisy takes a breaking ball down and away for ball one. Be interesting to see how the East shakes out as there's a one-hopper hit to first, bobbled, the flip, and good coverage there from Christopher Farrell, who's on for his second inning of work. It's going to be 3-1 put out as Mervis, the one flipping it to him, and Noisy is retired to lead off the fifth.
Yeah, not very often that you see the first baseman have to flip the ball to the pitcher when he's only 2 feet away, but a good heads-up play there by Farrell, who came over to cover the bag, knowing that it wasn't a guarantee that they were going to be able to find a way to get him out. So, one down here for Chris Lanzilli, who's already reached once. Aside from that, he grounded into a double play. And we'll see what he's got in store here.
First pitch is a breaking ball to Lanzilli for strike one. 5 of the 6 runs in this game scored by the bottom 3 hitters in this lineup. So this is a really dangerous part of the order this afternoon coming up as fastball inside misses to even the count 1-1.
Which is strange because these are the guys that have typically struggled, at least Pat Winkle and Corey Acton, over the course of the last couple of games, or the course of the season, really, but they figured it out today.
That was a slider on the outside corner for a strike. Lanzilli actually the only one who's been retired out of the 7, 8, 9 hitters in that inning-ending double play back in the third. The 1-2 is a curveball that misses low, and Pasek kind of had to dive after that ball, but luckily this time nobody on base to advance.
And I'll tell you what, Pasek, it seems like it's kind of gotten into his head a little bit at this point, and that's something that can certainly happen after letting up 3 runs of his own via pitches that, you know, would have been very tough to block, but that maybe he could have done something about. Seems like he's missed a couple of easier ones here lately.
2-2 is a chopper to the right side again. Mervis with another underhanded flip to Farrell, and that's in time for out number 2. So a couple of 3-1 putouts to begin the 5th inning, and Katuitt has now retired each of their last 3 batters faced.
Yep, and we'll see what happens here as Pat Winkle, who's already reached base twice today, comes to the plate. He had a single back in the 2nd inning and a walk back in the 4th. He scored on both of those at-bats.
Winkle, the youngest player on this Harwich roster. And he swings the first pitch. It's another grounder towards Matt Mervis, and he picks it up in foul territory before applying the tag. So second life here for Pat Winkle.
Yeah, Mervis probably could have gotten to that ball, but he looked unsure of himself about whether he wanted to let it roll foul or try to keep it in fair territory and make the tag himself. Ultimately, he decides too late, and it'll be another opportunity here for Pat Winkle with a 1-0-1 count.
As of right now, no one warming in the Katuitt pen, so could possibly see Farrell come out for a 3rd inning if he's able to finish up this second one as fastball misses just below the kneecaps. Another slight shift with the lefty at the plate with Schmidt playing well off the third base line as another fastball misses low and outside.
And it doesn't seem like they've been doing this against, I mean, they've done it against most of the lefties in the lineup for the Harwich Mariners. It hasn't just been one guy. So Winkle getting this treatment for the 2nd time today. And again, he's got plenty of room. If he can just push a ball down the left side, he's also got plenty of room up the middle.
2-1 is chopped foul into the Harwich Mariners dugout. Winkle from Orange, Connecticut. Not too far from his school of University of Connecticut in Storrs. 2-2 pitch is once again chopped foul. Of course, not too far away from Storrs is Hartford, where a couple of Cape League teams ended up playing the other day, Wareham and YD. They were able to avoid the bad weather being off the Cape for that game. Playing at the home of the Hartford Yard Goats, the AA affiliate of the Colorado Rockies, as a third ground ball to Matt Mervis, and this time he'll take it himself, and that will end the inning. It is the first 1-2-3 inning recorded by Katuitt. It comes in the top of the fifth. We're halfway through this one. 6-0, the Mariners lead. You're listening to Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Mariners Radio Network. It'll be Adam Oviedo leading things off in the bottom of the fifth for Katuitt as they look to solve Connor McCullough, who's gone 4 scoreless innings so far, only surrendering 2 hits.
Yep, and he's been dynamite so far. He gave up a couple of base runners back in the fourth, but was able to pitch out of it. So another frame coming up here for him as he'll miss with a high fastball. He's going to have to continue to go deep into games, as are a lot of these Harwich starters. As we've kind of talked about this before, Colin, the bullpen seemingly getting shorter and shorter with every passing day.
1-0 is a fastball at the knees to Oviedo. The TCU Horned Frog is 0 for 1. Struck out swinging to end the second inning. Nico Cavadas playing behind the bag over at third. 1-1 misses down and away. Another fastball from McCullough.
And I think McCullough may have started trying to get a little bit more crafty with the strike zone after the first inning, because, again, he did get a 1-2-3, but Loperfido and Gonzalez really got good bats on the ball. So see whether or not that's affected him. It seems like it has, as this pitch is fouled away into the Katuitt dugout. It seems like he's been less willing to just kind of go out there and attack as hard as he has in the past at the zone.
Oviedo coming into this game, hitting .250 on the season, 3 home runs, 16 RBIs. And the 2-2 is fouled off towards the on-deck circle.
So another 2-2 will be coming up here. And again, the fastball there from McCullough. We'll see whether or not he tries to pull the string on Oviedo, who he's already gotten to strike out once today.
And a good mix of hard stuff and soft stuff so far from McCullough. He's had that breaking ball working, especially as a strikeout pitch. The 2-2 is a fastball, and it's a chopper right back at Connor McCullough. He'll underhand it over to Chris Lanzilli, and it's an easy first out for the Harwich Mariners in the home half of the fifth.
Yeah, that ball looked a lot worse than it sounded, as it seemed like solid contact, but just kind of a weak dribbler back up to the pitcher, and he's able to pick it up and flip on to first for the out. So now Christian Robinson will come up to the plate. He's 0 for 1 as well with a fly out to right field, and the big lefty will stand in, looking to get something started here with one away for the Kettleers.
So Robinson's first pitch he sees is an inside-out swing down the left field line and falling fast, and it's going to get down for a base hit. Robinson will round first. He will hold up there. So it's a bloop one-out single for Christian Robinson, and he picks up his first hit against Harwich this season after starting against them 0 for 4 this year.
And that thing hung in the air just long enough that it looked like Harwich might have been able to corral it. It was always going to stay in fair territory despite slicing near the line, and it was a pretty good chase given to it over there by Dylan Noisy. He just couldn't quite get there in time. So once again, Katuitt will have a base runner here with one out.
McCullough will have to work from the stretch, and first fastball dips below the knees for ball one.
Yep, once again, McCullough not too eager to get into the strike zone. He knows that those pitches will come, but no strikeouts for him over the last couple of innings. He's been trusting his defense to get the work done.
Shavers swings at a up and away fastball and spoils it foul down the left field line. Shavers out of Coastal Carolina. He committed that error that allowed Pat Winkle and Corey Acton to move up into scoring position back in the fourth inning, as the 1-1 misses outside.
Yep, it was, I believe, just the second error of the year for Parker Shavers, who's been pretty solid defensively, but a little gaff there turns into another Harwich run.
2-1 to Parker. His ground ball up the middle, bobbled by Noisy to flip onto second, and he's able to get the force out. So a good recovery by the TTU shortstop, and flip on to Acton, ends up retiring Robinson for out number 2.
Yep, it'll go down as a fielder's choice, and again, they get the lead runner there. It was a good job sticking with that ball. As I really thought there for a second Noisy was going to just completely lose it, but he's still able to flip there in time. So the situation stays the same, but back to the top of the order go the Cavaliers with Joey Loperfido leading things off.
Parker Shavers replaces Robinson over at first base. He's got 3 steals on the season. See if he's in motion with 2 away. His team trailing by 6. First pitch is a ground ball by Loperfido, and that is going to get through past the dive of Acton. Shavers will make it up to third, and there's going to be runners at the corners with 2 away for Nick Gonzalez.
So a big-time hit by Joey Loperfido will keep the inning going, and here comes Gonzalez, who's already reached on 1 walk today, and for as good as he's been all year, he has struggled against the Harwich Mariners so far, and so far in this game does not have a hit. Because again, he's 0 for 1 with a flyout. He was absent the last time these two teams met. Looking to get something started here and potentially driving the first run of the day for Katuitt. They trail 6-0 here in the 5th.
So Gonzalez, the right-hander, against McCullough, the right-hander, as the first pitch is a breaking ball that'll miss outside for a ball.
And that's where McCullough kind of has the edge right now. That curveball is going to break away from the hands of Nick Gonzalez, so he can really kind of use his fastball to set up a couple of good strikeout pitches. We'll see what he elects to go with here on a 1-0 count.
Here it is, and it's in the dirt. A nice stop from Winkle to prevent that ball from going to the backstop and being the first Cavalier run of the contest. And with that, Pat Winkle's going to head out, as well as Coach Berger, so we'll have a bit of a mound visit with a 2-0 count, runners to the corners and 2 away in the bottom of the 5th.
I mean, you'd love to see McCullough at least finish out the 6th inning, and then you can get to your bullpen, which has been exceptionally well rested, considering that yesterday in a doubleheader, Game 1, Jacob Polish pitches the complete game, and then Game 2, Jordan Butler and Tommy Vaylor used, and 2 guys that nobody really that concerned that they won't be available again anytime soon. So we'll see what happens here, but really everybody available is still ready to go out there in the bullpen today.
McCullough would have to get 1 more out to be in position to pick up another win.
And you get the feeling with a 6-run lead, this might be the kind of situation where you want to bring in a guy like Nick Stewart, who has been able to eat up some quality innings this year and not give up too many runs.
Be interesting to see who would replace McCullough whenever his outing is over, as his 2-0 is going to miss a little bit high to Gonzalez. 3-0 count with Arajanu looming in the on-deck circle.
And you wonder whether or not the bat's going to stay on the shoulder of Gonzalez. It's been a slow start to his day, but still probably the best overall hitter on this team throughout the entire year.
3-0, it's going to miss upstairs for ball 4, as it's going to be a 2-out walk for Nick Gonzalez, second time he's walked in this one. The bases are going to be loaded for Rajanu with 2 away in the inning.
And we talked about it anew. He was in the home run hitting contest for a reason, but he did most of his damage with power numbers early this season, as Rajanu has 4 home runs on the year. He hit 3 of those during the first 4 games of the season. But still a big power threat here, and McCullough's going to have to be careful with a 6-run lead.
First pitch to Anu's a backdoor breaking ball that'll miss just outside Anu. With 4 home runs on the season, 2 of them coming against righties, 2 against lefties, but he's been able to drive in 13 RBIs. against righties, and he's ahead in the count now as McCullough's command continues to drift. It's now 2-0.
Yep, and another ball that was blocked down there in the dirt by Pat Winkle should be getting overtime pay today. He's made a couple of really good stops.
McCullough from the windup. And the 2-0. That misses outside as well, so Anu showing some patience, and he's looking to walk in that first run of the ball game for Cotuit at 3-0. McCullough looking to get one over. 3-0 pitch is a fastball that is right down the middle for strike one.
Yeah, pretty easy going there as Anu was going to be taking the whole way. Now it's where it really turns into an uphill battle. So you don't want to drop anything too nifty into the zone. See what McCullough goes with.
Here's the pitch. Ground ball to second. Fielded cleanly by Acton. A smooth throw on to first, and Connor McCullough can exhale as he somehow manages to escape the bases loaded 2-out situation with a 3-0 count. Raj New is retired to end the inning. We're through 5 from Lowell Park. 6-0 Harwich. You're listening to Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Mariners Radio Network. Christopher Farrell heads out for his third inning of work in the top of the sixth. His team trailing by a score of 6-0 to the Harwich Mariners. And Tyler, the Mariners bats for the first time all game, going down 1-2-3 last inning, but just a testament to how much this offense has really improved over the last couple of games.
Yeah, I mean, already 6 runs for them. They put up a pretty good spot, and now they're just trying to defend it, although I'm sure they'd love to try to get a few more off. They already scored 3 runs on Christopher Farrell, or 2 runs, I should say, back in the 4th inning. So certainly an opportunity for more potentially here, and Harwich will be sending up the top of the order to do it as they'll go from Corey Acton at the bottom back to Daniel Cabrera and then Chris Gallant.
6 runs on 5 hits so far for the Mariners compared to no runs on 4 hits. For Cotuit, they own the only error of the ball game. Cavaliers have already left 6 men on base through 5 innings, so they've had their fair share of opportunities, haven't been able to capitalize, unlike Harwich. First pitch to Acton, breaking ball, ground ball once again to Matt Mervis, and he will field it himself. That's now 4 straight at-bats where ground ball's been hit to Mervis, and he's made the play on all 4 of them, 1 out to begin the 6th.
Actually, Colin, it's 5.
Yeah, that's
because
right.
Because the 4th inning ended with an unassisted ground ball to him, so he has been involved in the last 5 plays, and you got to think, as a first baseman, that's pretty atypical. Matt Mervis is sitting over there like, guys, what's going on here? Everybody else on the infield is going to have to take a nap or something here.
So now another lefty at the plate in Daniel Cabrera. This is his 4th at-bat in this one. He takes first pitch for strike 1. He's 1 for 3 with a 2-run single back in the 2nd. Farrell working quickly, and there's a ground ball foul to the right side. Cabrera out of Louisiana State, one of the top prospects coming into the 2020 draft. He was taken out of high school by the San Diego Padres as a late-round pick, and he'll take the 0-2 for a ball.
Yep, and a guy that's really done exactly what everybody in the Cape League tries to do, and that's raise their draft stock a little bit, as he's come in and had one of the more productive seasons out of the Harwich lineup.
1-2 to Cabrera, misses outside. He was originally a fixture in the heart of the order, going either 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and now all of a sudden with the amount of runs he's scored, they've had him as a catalyst at the top of the order. He's already scored once in this game. Farrell with the 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3, so despite the 2-run single, Cabrera now striking out for the 2nd time in this one, And Matt Mervis finally gets a play off as there's now 2 away in the 6th.
It's been a very strange day for the Harwich lineup as, again, the bottom guys in the order have scored 5 of the 6 runs today, Daniel Cabrera being the lone exception to that rule. And here comes Chris Galland, who is technically 0 for 2 today, though he did reach on a walk back in the first inning.
First pitch to Galland, he swings and fouls it straight back out of play.
Pretty eager to try to hit that one as he got way out in front. And now he'll have to try to straighten things up a little bit here.
After 5 combined home runs in the last game that Harwich played at Orleans yesterday, no home runs so far through almost 5.5 innings as Galland swings and misses for strike 2. Galland, of course, having one of those home runs, his first of the season. Base is empty. He'll look to try to get on base and spark a 2-out rally. The last 6 Harwich Mariners have been retired in a row. The 0-2 is a breaking ball down away in the dirt.
I think it's worth mentioning, for as good as Katuitt's been this season, there's one thing they've struggled with this year, and that's been Eastern teams. They are 6-8-3 against the East here in 2019, whereas Harwich has done a great job of the West. They're 11-8. That's been a majority of their wins this season. So just kind of one of those interesting lines that plays well into Harwich's advantage, and it's come through here as they hold a 6-0 lead in the 6th inning.
Both teams coming into today with 17 wins. The difference for Katuitt, though, the 4 ties.
Funny to think that both teams have the same number of wins, and yet one is above 500 and one sits below it.
Yeah, Katuitt also 2 games above Harwich in terms of record. And of course, Katuitt just a game and a half back of the Western lead as the 2-2, or the 1-2 rather, misses outside for a ball. Meanwhile, Harwich 5 games out of first place at 17-19. 2-2, swung on a miss for strike 3. Galland doesn't hesitate to break to first. Pasik's throw is not going to be in time, so a heads-up play by Chris Galland. He knew that that ball was in the dirt for strike 3, and he immediately takes off and reaches base with 2 away.
And you said the throw not there, not even close. Chris Galland just a bullet down the line, and nothing Cody Pasik was going to do about that. So a very heads-up play there by Galland, and now with 2 away, his speed is on the base pass for Nico Cavadas.
So Cavadas, who's hit a few 2-out home runs this season, as the first pitch will have to wait as Farrell throws over on Galland, including one against the Gateman in his 3-home run game in Wareham. Drove in 5 runs. Runner going, first pitch is a strike, and Galland's going to be in without a throw, so all of a sudden, an insurance run in scoring position with 2 away for Harwich.
Yep, and that'll be stolen base number 13, I believe, on the year for Chris Galland, who continues to lead the team.
So now a guy in scoring position for Nico Cavadas. Team leader in RBIs. So he's got 27. 0-1 count to the Notre Dame corner infielder. It's a breaking ball hit out towards center field. Going back and making a running catch is the outfielder Christian Robinson to retire the side. So despite the 2-out base runner, Mariners held scoreless in back-to-back innings now. Through 5.5 from Lowell Park, they still lead at 6-0. You're listening to Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Mariners Radio Network. back once again to Lowell Park, 6-0. The Mariners head to the home half of inning number 6. The day is done for Connor McCullough after another quality start. Goes 5 innings, giving up just 4 hits, no runs. Walked 2 and struck out 3 as Nick Swalk will take over for him. And Tyler, another scoreless outing for Connor McCullough. He continues to get stronger and stronger, much like Jacob Polish. And it seems like, as a whole, Harwich Mariners just continue to get better and better at pitching this season.
I mean, he's got a closer's ERA as a starting pitcher. I mean, that speaks volumes in and of itself. And yeah, today's certainly going to help his case out as he adds 5 scoreless innings. He also tacks on 3 strikeouts to just the 1 walk, and more importantly, gives up only 4 hits. So the runs stay off the board, and here comes Nick Swalk, another guy who up until today had been used primarily as a relief or as a starter for Harwich, but he's going to be heading back to the bullpen here, and we'll see whether or not Harwich is going to shorten up on the rotation here the back half of the season.
Nick Swalk actually had a 6-run lead the last time he came in on July 17th against Brewster, and that outing was a nightmare as he went 3 2/3, giving up 5 runs on 5 hits. As Brewster continued to come back in that game, brought it all the way to within 1 before the game was called due to darkness after 7 innings.
And really, Zwalk's ERA not nearly indicative of what he's done this season, because prior to that, he had looked very, very good. But that one game, that one accursed game for him and Cam Bauman both shot his ERA up, and still just 4.67. It's still respectable, but again, not nearly what he has done all year long. Just one bad outing, and aside from that, he's looked pretty good.
So he'll get a chance to redeem himself this afternoon with a 6-0 lead against Katuitt. He'll be greeted by the left-handed hitting Matthew Mervis. First pitch is a late strike call on the low and outside corner, and Mervis can't believe it. Neither can I, really. It's 0-1.
I got to go with you guys on that one. As again, the corners have been very strange today, but it's been consistent on both sides, and we'll see whether or not that big strike zone helps Walk's case out here.
And a breaking ball flared down the left field line. Cavadas will give it a look, but it is over the fence foul. Strike 2 to Mervis.
I'll tell you what though, Colin, I really like what Harwich has going in the bullpen when you look at it from this perspective. If they do want to shorten up on the starting rotation, you've got 3 different guys in the bullpen. Nick Swalk, Will Heflin, and of course, Nick Stewart, who can all come in and go long innings. If you get five innings out of your starter, you can go to one of those guys for the 6 through 9 and then bring in a guy like Joe Boyle to close it out.
Be interesting to see how they strategize for this one, and the 0-2 is on the outside corner for strike 3, so Nick Swalk with a strong start to the out as he catches Matt Mervis looking. Second time Mervis has struck out in this game. First out of the home half of the 6th inning.
Yep, and for Swalk, that'll be strikeout number 16 on the year. Just 7 walks for him, so control has not been a huge issue.
Casey Schmidt digs in. He's 1 for 2 with a double. And he will face a lefty for the first time in this game in Swalk after McCullough, the pitcher for the first 2 appearances. First pitch from Swalk is rolled towards the left side. A nice scoop at third by Nico Cavadas. He snags it and throws on to first for out number 2. Good defense from Cavadas, who's spent a little bit of time at first and a little bit of time at third, but seems like he's been really comfortable at both positions all season long. And
that's typically a ball that you would want to see a guy kind of body up, but Cavadas is so confident from that third base position that he knows right where to put his glove, and it takes a really sharp hop off the dirt, but right into his glove, and he's able to throw to first in time for the second out of the inning. So here comes Cody Pasek, who has already flied out twice today, but more importantly, he's had kind of a tough day behind the plate as 3 runs have come across to score on wild pitches.
First pitch misses low and outside in his last at bat. Pasek had 2 runners in scoring position with 2 away and hit a ball pretty well out towards center field, but Weimer was able to run it down. So now he's got the bases empty and 2 away. And he takes the first 2 pitches. He's ahead in the count 2-0.
And of course, really quickly, this will be the last game of the season for the Harwich Mariners against the West. It was originally supposed to be played over a week ago, but it's being played today, and after that, the Western Tour will be complete. If Harwich hangs on here, they will end their year 12-8 against the Western Division.
2-0 is a fastball that misses high, of course. 20 games against the West, 5 different teams play each of them 4 times, 2 on the road, 2 at home. Or in this case for the Mariners, basically play Katuitt 3 times on the road after the cancellation in the 4th inning the last time these 2 teams attempted to play, as the 3-0 pitch is over for a strike. Swak with 14 strikeouts this year compared to 7 walks, so solid ratio in that department, especially compared to some of the Katuitt relief pitchers. As the 3-1, it's a big cut by Pasek, and the hometown kid can't come away with it. The Katuitt native swings and misses for strike 2.
Yep, he's fallen behind a number of times in this game, but still looking for his first hit. And one of the guys, as you mentioned, played just down the road from Katuitt here, getting an opportunity to don the jersey of players in years past that I'm sure he watched and looked up to.
Payoff pitch misses low, and Pasek will draw a 2-out walk. That'll give Adam Oviedo a chance with 2 away. He's 0 for 2 on the afternoon.
And really something you don't see a whole lot of. Not a lot of guys that are actually from this area to come into play. Plenty from the Northeast, plenty from New England, but not a ton of guys from the Cape that end up coming back here and making the league.
And for Katuitt, they also have a guy in the bullpen right down the road in Marston's Mills, Christopher Holcomb. So this is a team that really likes their local guys, and they're well represented this year. As first pitch to Oviedo is a check swing called for strike 1. Pasek, the runner at first. Not really a threat to run, as he's still looking for his first steal of the season. How it goes with most catchers in this league is the 0-1's in the dirt, and Pasek does not attempt to advance as Winkle gets to it rather quickly.
And really quietly, with all this offense being scored, the sun's starting to set back behind us as it's now engulfed the entire infield, so the outfield's still getting some sun, but no lights here at Lowell Park. You wonder whether this one might be called an inning or 2 early. Nonetheless, this game's already gone the 5 innings required to make it official, so no worries for that for Harwich. They can focus up on just trying to continue getting outs.
Approaching the 7 o'clock hour here on the East Coast, as the 1-1 is swung on and fouled straight back. 1-2 the count now. Oviedo out of Grandview, Texas, comes in hitting .250 on the season, at exactly 100 at-bats, coming in with 25 hits. So one of the guys who's been around pretty much all season long, as he swings at the 1-2 and flares it down the right field line. Cabrera's over, he gets under it and makes the catch for out number 3. So pretty clean 6th inning from Nick Swak. Much needed clean inning for him after his rough outing at Brewster. And we're through 6 from Lowell Park. 6-0 still the lead for Harwich. You're listening to Mariners Baseball on the Mariners Radio Network.
Welcome back to Lowell Park. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as we go here to the 7th inning of play. And, well, it'll be another opportunity for Harwich to pat a few more runs on here with Joey Weimer, Mike Ludwig, and Dylan Noisy due up. It'll be another inning of work here for Christopher Farrell, who is coming in to pitch again. And again, he's had a pretty good outing so far today, giving up the 2 runs back in the 4th inning and then not giving up anything in the 5th or 6th. But it's still a 6-0 lead here for the Harwich Mariners, and they'd be more than content to pat a few more runs onto that. The last time they were here, it was a 12 spot that got washed out, so still a little bit of work to do to get back to that point, but pretty much the same lineup that we saw in that game as Harwich about a week ago came here to play the game and put up 12 runs with a pretty good effort. So it'll be Weimer to lead things off here in the inning. Joey stands in from the left side, and he'll face Christopher Farrell here for a second time. Infield playing at pretty standard depth, and here comes the first pitch to Weimer. It's an off-speed, and he'll watch that one sink into the zone from the top for strike 1.
It's been a pretty impressive outing out of the pen so far from Chris Farrell after that rough first inning. He's really settled down.
Weimer will rip the 0-1 into the middle, though, and that's going to be a base knock. So there you go. Joey Weimer will break things up. And, I mean, I completely agree. I said it right before, or right after we came out of the break. He gave up 2 runs in the 4th. Aside from that, he's allowed just 1 base runner, and it was on a drop third strike. But Joey Weimer finds a way to pick up a knock, and that'll bring up Mike Ludwig here with a runner on and nobody out.
And at this point, you got a guy warming up in the Katuitt pen, another right-hander, so we'll see how much longer Farrell goes as that ball on the pickoff gets away. And I don't know if it hit Weimer or not, but it seems like he's all right.
Seems like it might have. If nothing else, it hit off of maybe the wrist over there at first of Matt Mervis. But Weimer, the guy who's standing in 2nd place on the team in stolen bases, has an opportunity to catch up to Chris Galland, who's already swiped 1 today. He takes a pretty good lead off first. Here comes the pitch to Ludwig, and that's going to be right down the pipe. Ludwig watches it go by for strike 1.
And despite the Mariners with 6 runs on 6 hits, Joey Weimer, the only guy in the entire lineup with multiple hits so far in this game.
See whether Ludwig can find his first hit of the day. He's reached on a walk. Aside from that, he is 0 for 2, and we've got time called by the catcher, it appears. And now Ludwig will stand back in. So with an 0-1 count, Weimer stands on first. Here comes the pitch, and that's going to be taken up the middle, but it's double play depth. It'll bounce awkwardly off the lip of the grass. Weimer's turning for 3 as it skirts into center field, and that's going to put runners at the corners here as Oviedo came over to play the ball. It skipped off of the lip, came up and almost caught him in the face, and he kind of made a narrow dodge and put his glove up, but it gets past him and into center. Weimer with a heads-up base running play there just goes ahead and takes 3rd, and well, that's going to put him at the corners here for Dylan Noisy.
Yep, and it was a tough hop for Oviedo, and it ends up hopping right between his legs and going into shallow center field. And with Weimer getting a great jump over at second, and what would have been a double play ball, instead Weimer takes 3rd, and all of a sudden runners at the corners, nobody out, and it's an unfortunate situation for Chris Farrell, who's been pitching so well, and with the single and then the error, now all of a sudden his outing in serious jeopardy.
That will be an error, the second of the day against this Katuitt squad. And again, Harwich with the golden opportunity. Runners at the corners, nobody out. Dylan Noisy at the plate. Here comes the pitch, and that's going to bounce in the dirt. You see Weimer take a really big step towards home plate. As well, historically, it's been a nightmare of a day behind home plate for Cody Pasek, but he's able to block that one with a pretty good stop. And now we'll see what happens with a 1-0 count. Chris Lanzilli, who's reached on a walk and scored, stands on deck. And even a double play ball would score the 7th run of the afternoon for Harwich as Noisy takes this one to first. He will check the runner back. Noisy is going to be close, but not in time. So the stepping on the bag is Matt Mervis. But now with 1 away, Harwich will have runners at 2nd and 3rd as Mike Ludwig moves up 90 feet.
Yeah, the plan the entire time there was to come home with it if Weimer made a break towards home plate. But Noisy hit that ball on the screws right to Mervis, and he just looked Weimer back to 3rd and won a foot race with Dylan Noisy back to 1st. So in the meantime, the runner at first, Ludwig, moves up, and now 2 runners in scoring position with 1 away for Harwich.
So it's a productive out, and now Chris Lanzilli with an opportunity to maybe pat a few more RBIs onto his numbers. Here comes the first pitch. That one will skip in the dirt. Once again, it's going to get past the catcher, and Weimer comes in to score. So that is going to be the 4th run of the day, scored off a wild pitch, as that one was once again nowhere near. It rolled up off the chest plate of Cody Pasek, and there for a second I thought it might have had a chance to leave the premises.
Yeah, Pasek actually did a good job of keeping his body in front of it, but it just kind of ramped off of his catcher's mitt and went straight in the air on like a 45-degree angle up high off the backstop, and easy run to score for Weimer. And Ludwig actually had an opportunity to round 3rd there, but not enough speed for him to try to attempt to score in that situation. But the infield will still stay in for the Katuitt Kettleers.
Cody Pasek cannot buy a break. The infield stays in, as you mentioned, with Ludwig standing on 3rd and Chris Lanzilli at the plate looking to drive in another run here. Harwich's lead is now 7-0 as the Mariners are up here in their half of the 7th here at Lowell Park. The 1-0 pitch, and that'll miss inside. Lanzilli didn't look too interested in getting out of the way of that pitch, but it's not that far in, and it'll be a 2-0 count here on the right-handed hitter. Really quickly, a 2-run bomb for Hunter Goodman. He continues to just tear things up for the Harbor Hawks, and he actually leads the league with 34 RBIs on the season. It's what happens when you're the best player on the worst team, I guess. As the 2-0 is going to be checked. They go down the line, and that was offered at by Chris Lanzilli, so it's going to be a 2-1 count as he looks foolish, taking a hack at a ball well outside of the zone there.
Mariners are able to hold on. They would take 3 of 4 against Katuitt this season, including the final 3 after losing the opener between these two teams this year back on June 11th.
2-1's going to be taken just narrowly foul down the first base line. I thought that ball might have had a chance to stay in, but it'll be a 2-2 count coming up here on Chris Lanzilli. Again, he reached on a walk and scored in the second inning. He grounded into a double play back in the third, and grounded out to the first baseman back in the fifth. Here he stands in, runner on third. His team with a 7-run lead and a 2-2 count with one away in the seventh. Setting is Chris Farrell. He'll bring the pitch home, and that'll miss high to fill the count. That Hyannis-Bourne game is now 2-1, the Harbor Hawks lead. Still tied up early on. Whitey and Chatham facing each other, and then the Falmouth and Orleans game yet to start. Here comes the payoff pitch, and that's going to be swung on. A weak fly ball. This one's sinking fast, but coming in from center is Robinson. He'll make the catch, and there will be no tag. That ball was down the line. It would have been interesting had they sent Mike Ludwig, but he'll hold up. And with 2 outs, here comes Pat Winkle.
And another big play there made by Cody Pasek is that throw was coming up the line and kind of fading towards the right, and he had to come all the way up and keep his body in front of it, or else that ball was going to head to the backstop and give Ludwig an opportunity to have a look at home plate. But good defensive awareness, and he's able to keep Ludwig at third with 2 away.
So for the third time today, here comes Pat Winkle. Plenty of people are happy to see Winkle in the lineup today, but there's one that's not. I'll get to that here in just a moment, as the first pitch is going to be swung on and taken into deep center field. It's going to chase him all the way back, but Robinson will settle under it and make the catch for out number 3. And really quickly, in case you were wondering, the one person not happy to see Winkle in the lineup is Aram Layton, who is actually one of the play-by-play broadcasters for the Katuitt Cavaliers. He played high school baseball with Mike Rothenberg, and now in all 4 of the official games between the Harwich Mariners and Katuitt Cavaliers, Mike Rothenberg not in the lineup. So he's unable to call a game for his high school teammate and potential future major leaguer, but for the time being, it's still a 7-0 Harwich lead. We go to the bottom half of the 7th after this here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to Lowell Park. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey, and with a 7-run lead, the Mariners will make a defensive shift here. It'll be Max Marshak taking over in center. That'll slide Joey Weimer over to left and take Chris Galland out of the lineup. So Harwich will stick with Nick Swalk as far as pitching is concerned, and they will be facing off here against the 8, 9, and 1 hitters, Christian Robinson, Parker Shavers, and Joey Loper-Fito. And Colin, it's been another day here where Katuitt has had their opportunities. They're actually only getting out hit by the Mariners 6-4, but the big glaring difference is the 7-0 on the scoreboard in favor of the M's.
Yeah, it's just been one of those days where wild pitches have come back to haunt Katuitt Cavaliers. I think it's 4 runs that have scored via wild pitch, so only in total there's only been the 2 RBIs from Daniel Cabrera bringing home runs in this game. It's been just the 2 RBIs from Cabrera and then the RBI single from Weimer, so a lot of unforced errors committed in this game.
First ball is going to be taken back up the middle. Nick Swalk will handle that and toss it on to first in time for the first out of the inning. So 1 pitch, 1 out. Love the efficiency out of his walk. And here comes Parker Shavers, who reached on a fielder's choice, made it all the way around to third as Katuitt got the bases loaded, but the inning was ended with an Arajanu ground out to second. So Shavers, who today is 0 for 2, stands in from the right side to face off against the lefty Nick Swalk. Swalk from the windup, sets and fires. The first pitch is something off speed at about 75 that will miss high, and it'll be a 1-0 count here. In case you've forgotten, Nick Zwalk coming out of the University of Xavier. Take a look at what he's got to throw. It's a fastball that comes between 92 and 94, a slider, a changeup, and he's been working on a cutter this summer. As this fastball will miss outside to make it a 2-0 count here. That one coming in at about 90. So Zwalk back to work with a 2-0 count. Parker Shavers looking to start something for the Kettleers as they trail at 7-0, and this pitch will also miss low and out. So Zwalk's fallen behind here 3-0. And we'll see whether or not he can battle his way back in the count. Bat's probably going to stay on the shoulder here for Parker Shavers. Here comes the 3-0 pitch, and that one is right down the pipe. But Shavers no interest in offering at that, and he'll now pick up the bat and try to put a good swing on this.
And Shavers not particularly good against left-handed pitching. 7 for 34 on the season, good enough for a 206 batting average.
He'll foul the 3-1 away, and the count's full here, so a good job fighting back by Nick Zwalk. Pretty good crowd here on hand at Lowell Park, at least on the home side. Visitors side a little bit empty, but the big crowd's usually coming to turn out in droves to see the Mariners at White House Field. That's where they'll be tomorrow as they take on the Whitey Red Sox. 3-2 pitch. They got him jammed. That one's going to be fouled as Weimer will chase it into foul territory, but he will squeeze it to make the catch for out number 2.
Yeah, that's the great thing about having so much speed in your outfield. Normally that's Chris Gallen going over to make that play, and Gallen most likely is able to make that play, but you slide over Weimer and you have basically the same speed out in left field, and Weimer glides over and makes that play look easy with 2 away.
So here comes Joey Loperfido for a 4th time today. He has flied out, grounded out, and hit a single back in the 5th inning. But now he looks to get something started here as his team is starting to get into a concerning spot. First pitch, and there is the slider for a strike. So with an 0-1 count, Zwalk goes back to work. From the windup, here's the pitch. Got him jammed, and fouling it back to the screen is Loperfido, who falls behind here 0-2.
Zwalk pitching with a lot more confidence than he was against Brewster, and even though it's pretty much the same situation, a 6-run lead, now it's of course 7, but this time around he's felt a lot more comfortable facing this Katuitt lineup than he did against Brewster.
Here comes the 0-2. That'll be fouled back off the foot here of Joey Loperfido, who for the time being will stay alive. So Harwich, in case you're wondering, with all the rainouts, with all the delays, and with all the postponements we've had, I know the schedule has gotten a little bit crazy, but here's what the Mariners have to finish out the year. After today's game, they will have a home-and-home with YD starting at home tomorrow and then on the road. They'll do the same with Chatham, a home game and then a road game. Is swinging through this one and missing it for strike 3 and ending the inning is Joey Loperfido. And then really quickly, after the home-and-home with Chatham, they will have a split doubleheader. They'll play the first game with Orleans, the second with Brewster, both of those coming at home, and then a road game with Brewster to close out the year. That will close out the 7th inning. We go to the 8th here. Harwich still holds a 7-0 lead when we come back here on the Mariners YouTube Network. Welcome back to Lowell Park. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey as we go on here to the 8th inning of play. Harwich looking to add a few more runs, and they'll do it against a new pitcher coming in as Beck Way will be taking over here for the Kettleers.
Yeah, and Way will replace Chris Farrell, who really had a great outing out of the bullpen. I mean, he gave up 2 runs, but neither of them were earned after that error committed by Parker Chavers out in left field. And he goes 4 innings, giving up just 3 hits as well. The 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. One of those walks, of course, being intentional. So, all in all, a great outing for Farrell, and I'm sure it's much needed after the rough start he's had this season.
So here comes Beck Way, a guy who's been getting it done all season long, and a guy who came in to the game against the Harwich Mariners last time around. He's really struggled in that one, but we'll look to bounce back here. And for him, a 2.79 ERA this year, 12 strikeouts to 8 walks, and he's given up just the 3 earned runs on the season. He will face off against Corey Acton, Daniel Cabrera, and then likely Max Marshak, who's taken over for Chris Gallant. So Way comes set. Here comes the first pitch, and that one will miss low and inside here to Corey Acton, who has already reached base twice today. He's come around to score in both of those. He was hit by a pitch in the 2nd inning, had a single back in the 4th, and grounded out to the first baseman back in the 6th. The next pitch he sees, he'll foul away, and a guy that, it'd be great if he could get back on the boat a little bit here, hitting-wise, after getting off to a really good start in his first game.
Yeah, he had the single back in the 4th. They scored twice, and this one's one of the better games offensively this season for Corey Acton.
Here comes the 1-1. He'll take that one into left field. It's got a chance to drop it. A diving catch out in left by Parker Chavers. It may not make up for the air that he had earlier, but boy, what a grab. And Parker Chavers with a full extension dive will rob another hit from Corey Acton.
And that ball was sinking really, really quickly on Chavers as Acton put a good swing on the ball, taking it the other way, but full extension dive from Chavers, and he just barely gets it before the ball hits the grass, and a huge out number 1 for Katuitt to begin the 8th.
So here comes Daniel Cabrera. Cabrera today is 1 for 4. He had the 2 RBI single and then reached second on the air back in the 2nd inning. And he'll watch the first pitch in there for a strike. Next pitch will miss low. Count goes 1-1 here. Is that one in the dirt? Good job blocking it by Pasek. The 1-1 pitch, swing and a miss. Taking him off speed there and dropping that one below the bat of Cabrera was Beck Way, who's looking to retire 2 straight here and try to get to the end of this game.
Interestingly enough, Cabrera, one of those guys who's actually better against lefties, hitting 300 against lefties as opposed to 283 against righties.
And there it is, strike 3 as Cabrera swings through that one for his 3rd strikeout of the day. So it'll be a Max Marshak here getting his first at bat on the afternoon. I should say the evening. It's been a very tough stretch here for Max Marshak, who's had just 1 hit in his last 10 days. He's looking to get something started here for the M's with 2 away, trying to tack a few more runs onto their 7-0 lead here in the 8th, and he swings wildly at the first pitch that he sees. That'll miss outside for ball 1, or for strike 1, I should say.
Marshak coming in with a 208 batting average on the season. 114, excuse me. Got him mixed up with Dylan Noisy as the 0-1 misses on the outside corner for a ball.
Yeah, Noisy's done a majority of that damage over the course of the last 10 games, as you and I have kind of alluded to. He's hitting 259 over his last 10 and 556 over his last 5. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. Swinging and missing at another pitch about a half mile out of the strike zone is Max Marshak, and just seems like he hasn't really been all there this season. Not necessarily in the field. He's looked immaculate with a glove on his hand, but up at the plate he's looked a little bit lost. The 1-2. That one's fouled back to us. And the count stays 1-2 here on Max Marshak.
Really good off speed so far from Way as he's kept everything off the plate to the 9-1-2 hitters so far, and he's found a lot of success, including the strikeout against Cabrera.
The 1-2. There it is. Curveball that'll buckle the knees inside, and Marshak didn't even offer as he strikes out. So that'll end the top of the 8th. We go to the bottom half. It'll be Gonzalez, Anu, and Mervis due up when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back here at Lowell Park in Katua, Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as we go to the bottom half of the 8th inning. It'll be Nick Gonzalez, Arajanu, and Matt Mervis due up, and they will face off against Nick Zwalk, who stays out there for his 3rd inning of work. And Colin Zwalk has had a really good bounce-back day, at least so far, after giving up a pretty sizable amount of runs against the Brewster Whitecaps about a week ago.
Yeah, certainly looking a lot better, and that's a great thing about having that long layoff is you got time to kind of take a deep breath and think about what he hasn't been doing mechanically that he had been doing prior to that Brewster start, and he's really been able to show what he's capable of this afternoon, keeping this lead for Harwich. Obviously, it hasn't been a high-leverage situation by any means, but any type of success you can find in this league is definitely a confidence booster no matter what.
So we'll see whether he can continue that success as he'll face the toughest part of the Katuitt lineup. First pitch is on its way, and it's going to be in there for a strike, keeping that on the outer half. So being very careful, but keeping it in the zone is Nick's walk. And Nick Gonzalez, who has reached on 2 walks today, still looking for his first hit of the outing, but he's been able to find his way on base more often than not. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. That one's going to just narrowly miss low, a fastball around the knees, and that'll keep the count 1-1. Colin, some very good news. Looking at the forecast, it's not supposed to rain, again, weather permitting, for the rest of the season, at least not for Harwich, as several teams, as this pitch misses outside for a ball, several teams do have a game scheduled on August 1st, the day before the playoffs start, and that day could rain, and if that happens, I don't know what the league's going to do. They may just have to push the playoffs back a day, which would be helpful for Harwich if they make it, as they'd have 2 days off. 2-1 is swung on and ripped past the glove of Corey Acton at second. That'll get into right, and it's going to be a leadoff hit here for Nick Gonzalez.
Yeah, 3rd time that Gonzalez has reached base in this game. He's been one of the lone bright spots up and down the order, as no other guy in the lineup for Katuitt's reached base more than once. So Gonzalez being a catalyst out of that 2-hole, and let's see if Arajanu can reach base for the first time in this ball game.
Yep, Anu so far 0 for 3, a strikeout, a line out, and a ground out. And the big righty will, or the big switch hitter will dig in from the right, from the left side, the right-handed batter's box. Runner on first, nobody out. Nick Zwalk pitching here in the 8th. And the first pitch to Anu will miss in the dirt. Runner takes off. Winkle will throw down to second. It's not going to be in time, though, and it's going to be a very delayed steal here for Nick Gonzalez.
Yep, being aggressive down 7 runs, I mean, you might as well. Not getting too much going at the plate, try to create some offense on the base paths yourself.
Not a whole lot else going on in the offensive category so far today, and another stolen base for a team that has 31 of them. Nick Gonzalez this year now has 7. So that's second on the team for Speedy Gonzalez, as I'm sure somebody's referred to him as before, as this pitch will catch the outer half, and the count goes 1-1 here on Arajanu.
Nice movement on the breaking ball from Zwalk. Looked like it had almost a foot of break. It started deep into the opposing batter's box.
So with 1-1 count, Anu digs in. Zwalk looking to get through another scoreless frame. So far, Harwich pitching a combined shutout of the Kettleers. And this one will be fouled away to make the count 1-2. YD has come back and tied the game against the Chatham A's. Those teams in a home-and-home series right now. Chatham getting the better of the YD Red Sox yesterday, but right now the game is tied 1-1. That game's still in the first inning. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. That's going to be taken near the middle. Acton will pick it up and throw on to first. That'll be in time, but a run moves up to be 90 feet away. It's Nick Gonzalez. So with a new out and a runner on third, Matt Mervis, who already has 1 hit today, will come to the plate.
Mervis with an opportunity to finally deliver that first run of the ball game for Katuitt. Fly ball would get the job done, of course. Katuitt looking for a lot more than that if they want to get back into this game, but you got to start somewhere and see if they can have a little bit of a one-out rally with 4, 5, and 6 due up for Katuitt.
So here comes Matt Mervis. Strikeout, a pair of strikeouts surrounding a single, and the first pitch is going to be a breaking ball in there for a strike.
Mervis hasn't been too happy with the strike zone in this one after he got called out on strikes back in the 6th. First strike in that at-bat was way low and outside. It looked like it missed the plate completely.
Swak sets the 1-1. That's going to be taken up near the middle. 1 run will score. They'll take it, though, as they throw on to first. So coming across the score is Nick Gonzalez. But picking it up and firing it over was Dylan Noisy from his shortstop spot, and that'll be the second out of the inning.
Yep, obviously the play there just to go to first with it. Noisy makes a simple throw. No reason to get this runner at the plate with a now 6-run lead. And for Harwich, just 4 outs away from picking up a key victory and continuing to stay ahead of Brewster with the Whitecaps off this afternoon.
And more importantly, yeah, again, a chance to pick up some ground on Brewster, who is not capable of winning nor losing today. So the Whitecaps tomorrow will be back in action against the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. And, well, pending some kind of crazy disaster, that should be a very winnable game for the Whitecaps of Brewster. Standing in now is Casey Schmidt. First pitch he sees is a fastball that will dot the outer half for a strike. And, of course, with that run coming across the score, that will negate the shutout. As Harwich this season, I'm taking a look through the book to confirm, as this one misses in the dirt. Harwich had, I believe, 4 shutouts, actually 5, going into this game.
Most recent one, of course, being yesterday, the first game of the doubleheader, 2-0 victory of the no-hitter from Jacob Polish as ball misses low in the dirt to Schmidt to make it 2-1.
And a quick correction, it was actually 4 shutouts if you include yesterday. But yeah, the first Cape League no-hitter in a very long time, I believe not since back in the 80s had that been done. And granted, it was done in a 7-inning doubleheader game, but with how many doubleheaders have happened since that date, it's a surprise that it hasn't been done sooner. Cavadas will pick that one up, fire across, and it's going to be in time. He played that one all the way over the bag, and that's going to be there for out number 3. So a run comes across, but ultimately of little consequence to the Mariners, who still lead it by 6. It's a 7-1 lead, and the M's come up to bat here in their half of the ninth after this on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to Lowell Park. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey. It'll be Beck Way back out for another inning. And Colin right now, Coach Mike Roberts having a bit of a word with home plate umpire as this game continues on here in the ninth.
Yeah, it had to do with, I think, the umpires talking about maybe not even starting this inning because of the impending darkness. And Coach Roberts is still having some words, so he's clearly not too happy about something.
And it's not that dark right now. I mean, this is certainly playable. So we'll see what happens as this one goes on. First pitch coming in here to Nico Cavadas from Beck Way. Will miss outside and high, and it'll be a 1-0 count to start things off on Nico.
Be interesting to see what things look like in the bottom half of this inning.
Cavadas will take a breaking ball in the zone for a strike, and yeah, it certainly could get incredibly dark, incredibly fast, but for the time being, still plenty of light. Should be able to get through this full inning with little to no trouble. The 1-1 pitch. Cavadas will take a little half-hearted swing, but he goes all the way through on that one, and nowhere near connecting with the ball, as he may have been sitting on a fastball, and he's fallen behind here 1-2.
Yeah, Way, since entering the game last innings, really had that breaking pitch working. That's why he got a couple of strikeouts to end the top of the 8th.
Here comes the 1-2 pitch. That'll miss high. So Cavadas will fall back here. The count is 2-2. Again, a bit of a scheduling nightmare for the rest of the season for a lot of different teams, trying to cram as many games into as few days as they can, as Cavadas hits this one foul down the first baseline. One of those teams, of course, is the Brewster Whitecaps, who I believe still have 9 games left to play. And they're actually taking today off, because at some point you can only play so many games in a day. So we'll take a look at the remainder of their schedule, as that's the main team Harwich needs to try to bury, as this pitch misses low and away to Nico Cavadas with a 3-2 count. So they'll play Hyannis tomorrow, and then 3 consecutive games against Orleans, including a doubleheader in 2 days' time. As the payoff pitch is ripped by Cavadas, it is back, it is gone. It's going to be a solo shot for Nico Cavadas to lead off the ninth, and Harwich now has their 7-run lead back. It's an 8-1 ball game, courtesy of Nico Cavadas.
9th home run of the season for Cavadas, and he got every bit of that ball. It landed in the trees on the fly over the right field fence, and it looked like the right fielder Loperfido knew it immediately as he just kind of dejectedly jogged out towards the fence, but he knew that ball was uncatchable. And Nico Cavadas starting to get the power back, a double in the first and a home run in the ninth.
And when I saw Loperfido kind of hold up, my question was, is that ball going to be fair or not? It certainly was. So here comes Joey Weimer, who's already got a pair of hits today, including an RBI single back in the 4th inning. First pitch he sees is going to be off speed, and that'll miss inside for a ball. So back to the Brewster Whitecaps. It'll be Hyannis, 3 games against Orleans, a game against Bourne, and then a Chatham-Harwich combined doubleheader, a game against Harwich that'll be the end of Harwich's season, and then the Bourne Braves on August 1st. This pitch misses for ball 2. So not the toughest schedule in the world. More importantly, they'll have several games against Orleans and Harwich. That could really turn the tide. Weimer gets a hold of this one, but fouls it off into the trees down the 3rd baseline, and the count goes 2-1.
After missing a lot of bats in the 8th inning, Way getting hit hard to start the 9th. The bomb from Cavadas, and now Weimer gets a hold of one, but a little bit too far out in front of it.
So with a 2-1 count, Joey Weimer stands back in. Off speed will miss inside, and the count goes 3-1 here on the big righty. He's got one of the most imposing looking stances at the plate that you'll see out of anybody, and certainly the most aggressive swing. Here comes the 3-1 pitch, and that'll miss outside. No, they're going to call it strike 2, and Weimer will have to take a step back as that pitch looked outside, but it's going to be called a strike by the home plate umpire, and we'll have a full count here. Beckway may have been saved from walking a runner there. Still looking for the first out of the 9th inning. Way comes set, checks and deals, and that's going to come inside. Almost hits Joey Weimer. It will not, though, and he'll jog down and take his base with a walk.
And things really starting to unravel for White in this inning as back-to-back base runners, and now darkness might be an issue going into the bottom half of this inning.
And that would be unfortunate because they do subtract the nearest full inning, so the Nico Cavadas home run may be taken off the board if they can't get through this. But for the time being, it'll be a runner on here. Mike Ludwig standing in from the right side. And here comes the pitch. He will foul that one off and start off with an 0-1 count.
Yeah, Beckway giving up just his 2nd home run of the season on that Cavadas homer, so he's done a good job of keeping the ball in the ballpark thus far, but one mistake pitch and Cavadas made him pay.
This one will miss low. Beckway's been very good this season, one of the better relievers on this team, as he's again boasted a 2.79 ERA. He's given up so far just 4 runs, and only 3 of those were earned. Here comes this 1-1. That'll miss inside and low. Beckway, it seemed like, may have been interested in stalling a little bit the last time these two met here at Lowell Park, as Harwich trying to get through 5 innings to make the game official, and plenty of shenanigans going on the Katuitt side. The 2-1 pitch will be in there for strike 2, but at the end of the day, Harwich comes in here in the makeup game, and so far so good, as they have just 3 more outs left to get, assuming darkness does not call the game, and they currently hold a 7-run lead. Beckway sets with a 2-2 count, runner on first and nobody out here at the top of the 9th, and that'll be chopped up on the foul side of the line, picked up by Matt Mervis down by first, and the count stays 2-2.
Not the only baseball being played in Massachusetts this week for the Cape League, as of course Red Sox and Yankees starting up another series, 4-game set at Fenway Park.
Back in a normal stadium is not in the London as the last series I believe was played, and this will miss low and in, so the count goes full here on Ludwig, and that was an interesting experience in and of itself, Colin, because the dimensions just played to home run after home run, and boy, did those turn into some offensive slugfests. Payoff pitch fouled away.
Yeah, it's some of the weirdest games I've ever watched, honestly, and I'm sure some people in London who've never been to a Major League Baseball game were wondering if this is normal. No, it certainly wasn't.
Some of them didn't know what baseball was going into that game, and most didn't know what it was after coming out either. Payoff once again. That's going to be taken up the middle by Mike Ludwig, so the hit parade continues for the Mariners, who have had a single, a walk, and now, or a home run, a walk, and now another single by Mike Ludwig to bring up Dylan Noisy.
Yeah, so the Mariners, after the bat's going a little quiet in the last 4 innings or so, just one hit during that stretch, starting to figure it out once again at the plate after that huge second inning where they brought home 4 runs. They've got 1 home this inning and 3 consecutive base runners to lead off the 9th.
So here's Dylan Noisy, who today is 0 for 3, a strikeout, a ground out, or actually a pair of ground outs, and then he reached on a walk back in the 3rd inning. First pitch he sees, it's going to be a breaking ball inside, and that's going to miss for ball 1. And Colin, I think you and I have come to the same conclusion that we will write a pass to Red Wilson Field for not having lights because you've got the house in right field, to Stony Brook Field, who has a neighborhood off to the left, but at the Lowell Park, there's really no excuse to not have lights at this point, as the 1-0 pitch will miss for a ball. There's nothing around here that really warrants not having lights, and it's just kind of an odd decision not to put them up.
Yeah, the closest thing I would say is a set of a neighborhood back towards the parking lot, but that's probably about 400 yards away, roughly.
So the 3-0. Will be coming up here as Beck Way not really that interested in putting away Dylan Noisy. You wonder whether or not the green light's on for him. Here comes the pitch, and it's not, as he stepped out of the batter's box and takes the strike.
Noisy, of course, reaching base once, walking back in the 3rd. Other than that, it's been a pretty quiet game for him, but he's got an opportunity with 2 on and nobody out.
A runner is in scoring position here. Harwich maybe looking to pad a few more runs on. The 3-1. Noisy was headed down to first, and he'll be called back here. So it's full count worked by Beck Way, who's trying to get out of some trouble. Still nobody out here in the 9th inning, and after a really good 8th where he got 3 up, 3 down, courtesy of some stellar defense from Parker Chavers and a pair of strikeouts, he has yet to retire a single person here in the 9th. Noisy digs in. Here's the payoff pitch, and that'll miss high and inside once again, coming in and almost hitting a guy with a full count. So the bases are loaded here for Chris Lanzilli.
Lanzilli, of course, the last time we're actually getting a quick mound visit here. The last time that these 2 teams played at Lowell Park, game that didn't count, Lanzilli had 4 RBIs, including a big home run, and he'll look to record the first grand slam of the season for Harwich.
The question is, even if he hits 1 out, will it count? Because at this point, we could very well get to a place where the final half inning is going to be canceled due to darkness. So we'll see whether or not that comes into play as Coach Mike Roberts goes out and has a word with his hurler, and that'll give a chance for the home plate umpire to turn and talk to Lanzilli, who has put together a pretty impressive campaign here in the last couple of days, and that's continued today as he's already scored 2 runs. He's already scored 1 run. He reached on a walk back in the 2nd inning. Aside from that, he's 0 for 3. Lengthy discussion going on right now between Mike Roberts and his pitcher, and they may not even be interested in trying to get through the 9th, but now Roberts will break it up. The home plate umpire never coming out to have a word with him. And Lanzilli will hop back in there. His team leading by 7. The bases loaded and nobody out here in the 9th.
And nobody warming in the pen for Katuitt. So as of right now, it's Way's mess to get himself out of, with already 1 home in the inning, and now the base is loaded.
It's Beck's game the rest of the way. Lanzilli stands in. Again, the bases are loaded. Joey Weimer at 3rd, Mike Ludwig at 2nd, Dylan Noisy at 1st. First pitch, and Lanzilli wanted that one. He cuts through it, and it'll be an 0-1 count here to start his at-bat. Lanzilli, the Wake Forest product, looking to tag a few more RBIs onto his total this year. With an 0-1 count, here comes the pitch. He will softly fly that one out into shallow right field, and coming out to make the catch, I should say, is Nick Gonzalez for the first out of the inning.
There's a big first out with the bases loaded, nobody out. One of the ideal scenarios in that situation is generating a pop-up, and since Lanzilli unable to get the job done, now Pat Winkle with another RBI chance, as we've seen time after time for him over the last month.
So Winkle stands in. This time it will be righty on lefty. So the advantage favors Pat Winkle, and like you said, Colin, as we've seen all season long, here's another chance for Pat Winkle with runners in scoring position. First pitch he sees is going to be a very late called strike one on the breaking ball inside.
Yeah, and for Winkle, he's hitting 158 this year with runners in scoring position, 7 RBIs. This is 20th at bat with guys in scoring position. He swings and fouls a pitch off to the left.
I was going to say 20 at bats, that's got to be close to leading the team, and he wasn't even here at the beginning of the season. He came in about, I'd say, at the 1/3 mark, along with Mike Rothenberg. And interestingly enough, I mean, one thing to note, the guy that they released to make room for Rothenberg and Winkle was Jackson Greer, who ended up in the All-Star game as a Born Brave. Here comes the 0-2 to Winkle, and that's going to be in there for a called strike 3. So that's the second out of the inning, and suddenly the bases loaded looks a lot less imposing with 2 away and Corey Acton coming to the plate. But Acton's had a pretty good day. He would have had another hit back in the 8th inning had it not been for a diving catch by Parker Chavers. And aside from that, he's put a pretty good bat on the ball with a single and hit by pitch today. 2 runs scored for him, and then a ground out in the 6th inning. So his 5th at bat. Everybody in the Harwich order will have 5 of those today. And here comes the first pitch to Corey Acton. He'll watch that in there for a called strike. Wade really going to the curveball here early and often.
This is one of the few times the Mariners all season have sent every man to the plate 5 times, generating a ton, and it's been a big offensive output tonight.
Acton takes a big cut at the 0-1. That's a fastball outside. And boy, he kind of wanted to maybe go for that first grand slam himself, as he already has 1 home run this year.
Speaking of offensive outputs, the Red Sox putting up 7 runs on the Yankees in the bottom of the 1st inning.
So a very quick start for the Red Sox. Here comes the 0-2 pitch to Corey Acton. That'll miss inside, and they're actually going to say it hit him. So Corey Acton's going to get pegged there, and that's going to bring in yet another Harwich Mariner run as Joey Weimer will come across the score. Ludwig moves up to 3rd, and Noisy moves up to 2nd.
Second time in the game that Corey Acton's been hit by a pitch. His first plate appearance back in the top of the 2nd, he got hit, came around to score, and this time Acton hit once again. He reaches base, and he'll get credited with an RBI.
He certainly will, and darkness continuing to set in here, but that'll bring us to the top of the order as Daniel Cabrera will watch the first pitch miss high and away. You got to think, too, I mean, in addition to giving up the runs for Beck Way, if this inning goes long enough and the game does get called, as he'll get a swinging strike 1 to Daniel Cabrera, your stats don't really take a hit.
Right.
So the 2 runs that he's given up, both of which have been earned, and also the hit batter, the 2 walks, and the 2 hits would be erased from his record, but for the time being, they will stand with Daniel Cabrera taking the 1-1 pitch. He will foul that one off his own foot, and it'll be a 1-2 count here as Beckway is now 1 inning away from ending a disastrous 9th for him.
Yeah, and it would really turn a 2-inning performance in which he gave up a couple of runs into just 1 inning with 2 strikeouts, which is miles better.
So with the 1-2, here comes the pitch. And that one's going to be hit softly out into right, but plenty of time to come in to make it the catch for Joey Loperfido, and that will end the inning. Harwich leaves the bases loaded, but they do strike for 2 more. They've now taken a 9-1 lead. We go to the bottom of the 9th, get to it up to bat when we come back here on the Harwich YouTube Network. back to Lowell Park. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey as we go to the bottom of the ninth. And a debut to be made here for the Harwich Mariners as Virginia's hurler Devin Ortiz will come in fresh off of maybe the best season I think any of us have ever seen out in the Florida Gulf Coast League, both with a bat in his hand and as a pitcher. But let's take a look first at what he did last year at Virginia in his 2019 campaign. He went 4-0, a 1.78 ERA through 35 innings pitched, and he had 38 strikeouts to only 7 walks. He is dominant, and Colin, he could very well be the missing piece that Harwich has been looking for here in this season.
Yeah, on paper, it looks like a phenomenal addition to the bullpen for the Mariners, and Ortiz gets an opportunity in the ninth, low-pressure situation to show off the stuff he's got. He'll be tasked with facing the 6, 7, and 8 hitters and shutting the door on what would be Harwich's 18th victory of the season.
So how about this? Ortiz this year, in the league that he was from, again, the Florida Gulf Coast League, he hit .542 in 103 plate appearances, and he had an ERA of 1.74 in 20 innings pitched. He was named the Florida Gulf Coast League MVP, and he comes in a very big spot here to try to make something happen and hold this 8-run lead.
Yep, it'll be interesting to see if they can actually get through this. I mean, it's still pretty light outside, even without the light sun going down rather quickly, but if Ortiz is able to make quick work of Katuitt, should be able to complete 9 innings here at Lowell Park.
So Ortiz will be getting his first pitch, and here it comes. It'll be fouled high in the air and back out of play by Cody Pasek.
Yeah, 89 miles an hour on the fastball there, but when warming up, Ortiz hit as high as 94, so some solid life on that fastball for the relief pitcher.
See what he's got in store here on the second pitch. A new experience here for him, getting his Cape League debut, and this one is going to miss low for a ball. So Ortiz with a 1-1 count, facing off against Cody Pasek, trying to close this game out for the Mariners, and that's going to be taken high in the air out to straightaway center field. Settling under it with plenty of time is Marshak, and he'll make the catch for out number 1.
And just a can of corn out to center. Pasek now flying out 3 times in this contest, 0 for 3 with a walk, and upcoming a guy who hasn't had much more success in Adam Oviedo is 0 for 3.
So Oviedo will stand in here. A strikeout, a ground out, and a fly out for him today. Devin Ortiz replacing Nick Swalk, who had a pretty good outing and only gave up the 1 run. Here comes the first pitch from Ortiz, and that one's going to be a breaking ball. That will miss low for ball 1. Of course, Ortiz taking number 33. Big righty out of Virginia with a 1-0 count here on Adam Oviedo. Here comes the pitch. Fastball high, that'll miss. And it'll be a 2-0 count.
And 91 that time from Ortiz. He's really been going to that fastball a lot. He's a power pitcher out of Virginia. And again, it's going to be a unique addition to this bullpen. A Harwich bullpen that's already filled with a lot of hard-throwing talent.
2-0 pitch. That's going to be chopped to third. Plenty of time for Cavadas to come in, pick it up, and throw on to first. It's close, but he got him for out number 2. And could be a 1-2-3 inning debut for Devin Ortiz. If he keeps this up, he's got 1 more to get.
And good fielding once again by Nico Cavadas. He kind of hesitated for a sec as that ball was heading his way. Wasn't sure how to field it as it was in between hops, but he made the play quickly and made a strong throw to Chris Lanzilli over at first, and now the Mariners find themselves 1 out away from securing another victory.
So it'll be another batter to face here for Devin Ortiz. Pitch is going to be inside for ball 1 to Christian Robinson, who today is 1 for 3. A single fly out and a ground out. And he represents the last potential hope here for the Katuitt Cavaliers. Trailing 9-1. Here comes the next pitch. He will take that one foul down the first base line, and now down to 2 more strikes. Devin Ortiz still working out of the windup here. Comes set and brings the 1-1 home. That one's going to be hit right at Corey Acton. A good grab. He will throw on to first, and that's going to do it. The Mariners get the victory in 9-1 fashion here at Lowell Park. and that will be another win for Harwich, who will advance on the season to 18-19. We'll step away, and when we come back, we'll put the cap on it here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to Lowell Park one last time. Here to put the cap on it, Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey. Harwich gets the win 9-1, and it's a big-time win for the Mariners as they come in and win a makeup game where they were up 12-0. It would have been just an absolute blow to the Mariners if they had not been able to come in and get a victory today, but they're able to get the win and send Katuitt packing. On the year, they're going to finish things out 12-8 against the Western team, so it'll just be an Eastern diet from here on in for the Mariners, and it'll be interesting to see how they fare there. But Colin, overall, a really good game to build some momentum off of, as once again they're able to come in and really take advantage of this Katuitt pitching.
Yeah, definitely very refreshing for the Mariners to still get the victory, even though they originally were up 12-0 in this game before it got rained out a couple of weeks ago. But they bring that same energy at the plate once again. A couple of RBIs for Daniel Cabrera, the home run late from Nico Cavadas, and nice 9-run outburst for the Mariners, and they'll take some momentum into a home-and-home series against the YD Red Sox team that they've played a lot better against lately after losing a couple of late leads to that team. So we'll see if they can continue that momentum going and continue to climb up the Eastern Division with just under, 7 games now left on the year for the Harwich Mariners. So with the amount of games dwindling, not too much time left to kind of gain ground, not only ahead of Brewster, but also to gain ground on teams like Orleans and YD, the teams that they're trying to chase.
So it will be a victory for Harwich. Again, they get 9 runs on 8 hits, no errors, 10 runners left on base. For Katuitt, they muster just 1 run on 5 hits, 2 errors, and 7 runners left on base. The win goes to Connor McCullough. The loss goes to Kyle Nicholas. No save happens today. So Harwich will advance again to 18-19 on the year. Katuitt drops to 17, 16, and 4, and Harwich will be against YD at White House tomorrow for a home-and-home. Katuitt will will be back here against Wareham, and the Brewster Whitecaps will be back in action at Hyannis. But for Tyler Henry, for Colin Casey, and Matt Lucy, once again, it's a Harwich victory 9-1. Thank you once again for tuning in here on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network.